Has there ever been a piece of media that you irrationally love? Be it a show that you grew up with, a movie you happened across one day, or an album that viscerally spoke to you? Was there ever a piece of art that just made you feel seen, that somehow felt like it had reached into the depths of your heart, sifted through your passions, your fears, and your woes, and sculpted them into a monolith, mirroring it all back at you? Maybe it's not perfect. Maybe it's a mess, even, with some cringy on-the-nose writing here or there.
I don't care about myself! I'm not scared of dying as long as I'm with you! Good. Then die.
Or in terms of a game, a system that to many feels broken and button-mashy and brainless. Yet even so, even acknowledging those flaws, it doesn't change that in your eyes, this thing is a masterpiece. It's your masterpiece to hold and to love and to cherish when life seems especially turbulent. To me, that honor belongs to Tales of Berseria, the 12th mainline entry in the long-running Tales series. At the time of its North American release back at the beginning of 2017, things were not going well for me. Suffice to say, the home life wasn't great, and neither was becoming an adult in a world that seemed to only be getting crueler, more chaotic, and more difficult for anyone to find solid footing in. And it's only gotten worse. I had no idea what my future was going to look like, in the way where it feels like every day is just you trying to keep your head above water. I had an idea as to what I wanted to do, but it looked so impractical and unconventional that at times I figured that the few people who seemed to believe in me were just smiling and nodding along because they knew how fragile my very sense of self was. Eventually I found my way, and I am overall happy with where I am now, but I owe a lot of that to the story of Velvet Crow, our beloved Lord of Calamity, who did nothing wrong. Her journey of getting revenge against a world that deeply wronged her and cast her as not just a monster, but the Dark Lord, struck a strong chord with me, especially with bits of the marketing touting Berseria as a story of embracing who you are and living proudly in that identity. It's a rogues gallery of misfits that society has deemed either exploitable objects, undesirable, or worthy of eradication. You're surprised that a queer goofball like me wound up liking this and becoming super enamored? Especially as the world has just gotten so much worse since then. This story of fighting back to make a world where we are all free to be ourselves, even if it does get you cast as a villain in the eyes of the masses, Berseria feels like it has only become more relevant to me. As a fan of the Tales series since the 3DS port of Abyss, I am happy to report that Berseria still reigns supreme as my all-time favorite Tales game. And one of my favorite games, pieces of media, ever. Full stop. While I've come to see a lot of its shortcomings in terms of level design, graphics, and combat mechanics, the story has continued to resonate with me and age like the fine wines that old loser in Stonebury rambles about. And so I would like to share with you today the Berseria experience. We'll be going through the game's story, since I'm assuming like 2 of you have played it, followed by my thoughts and analysis on gameplay, presentation, writing, and theming. I wanted to do an 11-hour video like my Arise video on it, but you know, that takes a long time. One day I swear I will. Naturally, spoilers lie ahead, not just for Berseria, but likely any other Tales game, and possibly other media that I use for comparisons. Sorry, not sorry. So if all that sounds cool to you, then sit back, relax, and grab yourself a snack and or hearty meal. This is going to be a journey, so feel free to take breaks every now and then and come back when you can. Before we begin, ciao! My name's Thomas, aka the Unicorn of War, and I make videos about whatever the hell I damn well please. Animation, games, whatever media that I've wound up thinking about far too much, to the point of yelling into a microphone online about it for money. I just like sharing my experiences with media, my interpretations, and using that to entertain y'all as the world crumbles around us, and maybe to spark further discussions that y'all can have on your own time in the comment section or whatever. My content is my engagement, leave me alone. If all that sounds up your alley, then be sure to subscribe and ring that bell for notifications, because YouTube hates creators. Also, please consider, if you're willing and able, pledging your support for myself and the channel over on Patreon. Patrons get early access videos and scripts, Patreon exclusive content, and access to the private Union of War Discord server. Now, without further ado, let the calamitous chaos commence. First, we'll start with a rapid fire of our most important players. That way, you'll know who's who when I submerge you into a world of fantasy nonsense and confusing words that you've never heard before. Cool? Cool. First up is our main character, and the first solo female lead of the Tale series, Velvet Crow. Once a happy-go-lucky girl living the rustic dream, a horrible tragedy born of a betrayal most foul has left her a monster known as a demon. With an A. With everything she loved stolen from her, she now only craves vengeance and is willing to burn down the world to get it.
Yours is a world that would trade away the life of an innocent boy, and I will burn it!
Next up is Laphicet, a young Moloch or spirit with incredible power over both light and darkness and the ability to heal. He's the little ball of sunshine whose innocence keeps Velvet grounded and who everyone would die to protect.
Touch me and I'll kill you.
He's also a little dork, excited to learn about the world, collect weird ugly bugs, and make them fight to the death, and devour mabo curry by the truckload.
Velvet, this mabo curry is amazing.
He'll also kill you if you try to take his compass. Then we've got Rokurou Rangetsu, a skilled swordsman whose family hails from a distant land that totally is not fantasy Japan. Like Velvet, he's a demon, though despite loving the thrill of battle, he's also far more chill.
Your style is really unique.
Just wait until I pull out the good stuff.
He's basically everybody's chaotically wise big brother, goofing around and lightening the mood when everybody else gets too gloomy and serious. He also likes to get drunk, because of course he does.
Hey Rokurou, have you seen Eleanor?
Probably. I don't know. Bit drunk.
Eizen is an Earth Moloch, who, unusually for his kind, doubles up as a pirate. He's all about freedom and living life on his own terms, in part because of his Reaper's curse, which brings misfortune and tragedy to all around him.
A Moloch?
No, I'm the Reaper. Oh no, he's hot!
Despite his intimidating facade, he's an even bigger dork than Laphicet, dispensing endless lectures about trivial matters and historical facts, whether or not you want to hear them. I, for one, would love to.
To explain it right, I'd have to start with the history of bathing in Midgand. A few hundred years ago...
Yeah, if it's not clear, I love Eizen. And yes, I am still very, very sad about his fate in Zisteria, do not remind me. Magilou is an oddball witch, making it her business to perform as the over-the-top, obnoxious jester no one wanted.
Very well. Onward to Logris.
Wait, you're coming too?
Why did you come back to us?
I could tell you all missed me something awful.
We didn't. At all.
Her callous, often sharp-tongued wit is merely a front, as due to a long life of heartbreak, rejection, and loneliness, she has now become an apathetic nihilist, only tagging along to watch the foolish chaos wrought by Velvet's revenge quest.
Are you an exorcist? Wrong. I am a witch, for whom the universe is a plaything, and the souls of men but motes. Just how deeply will the fangs of our would-be tragic heroine scar this broken world of ours? I've got a traitor to find, but in the meantime, this should be a good show.
And last of our anti-hero crew is an actual hero, Eleanor Hume, an exorcist with a heart of gold. She strives to create a better world for all, but struggles with the cruel logic of the powers that be, often unable to stomach the messiness of reality, and instead of listening to her own gut, often defers to a higher authority that doesn't always have her best interests at heart, or anyone's best interests.
Are you crying?
It's just everything that's going on.
This puts her at odds with us initially, but soon enough leads her to stand with us to change the world. Then we've got our antagonists, led by Artorius Colbrand, the almighty shepherd.
Demon blight has spread through the village. But do not fear. With my power as an exorcist, I, Artorius Colbrand, will end your pain.
The world reveres him as their beloved savior, but his history with Velvet has created a rift between them. He believes in pure, cold logic and reason, doing what must be done to protect the world, even if that means sacrificing the few for the sake of the many.
I ask no forgiveness. The sin is mine to bear.
He's real fun at parties. His right-hand man, Melchior Maven, is a skilled illusionist. He's perfectly happy to break some psyches, all in the name of his mission of purifying the world of sin.
But plucking an innocent flower just to offer it as decoration for some memorial. That's not even a sacrifice, just a cruelty devoid of all purpose.
As obtuse as ever.
He's basically your evangelical uncle, complaining day in and day out about how godless and gay the youths are, bragging about how much better of a person he is because he's chosen to be a miserable old fuckwit with terrible fashion. Yeah, if it's not clear, I strongly dislike Melchior and I cheered at his demise. Shigure Rangetsu is not only Artorius' bodyguard, but also Rokurou's older brother. Since their duel, Rokurou has wanted not only to defeat Shigure, but to slay him. Not that Shigure much cares.
Wait, you're a demon? Now it's getting good.
Despite working under Artorius, Shigure is very carefree, often quipping with our protagonists like we're just buddies, pals.
It's not my style to rely on anyone's help.
Says the big bad exorcist. Look, you'll even ask a tubby kitty for help.
Shut up, I'm totally not.
I'd say I'm shocked that the Abbey lets him, keep his tits out, but if anybody tried telling him off, he would probably slice them like sashimi before they finish their sentence. Not that the sinful gays mind. Oscar Dragonia, the scion of one of the kingdom's most powerful noble families, has become an exorcist for the sake of his family's standing. Aiding him is his older half-sister Teresa Linares, who basically has been given the Cinderella treatment due to her mother being a commoner. Strangely, unlike Cinderella, Teresa has found comfort within her family home, if you catch my drift.
Well, I do believe I recognize those earrings.
Of course. I treasure them dearly. Thank you.
That is disgusting. Ew.
Yeah, more on these two later. Good God. Great characters, but the undertones are just so Lannister-coded. Please do not make me start agreeing with Melchior. Our story is set in the world of desolation, which is a rather apt name for this miserable hellhole. The known world is a collection of islands which comprise the kingdom of Midgand, and they're having a pretty rough go of things right now. See, ever since the Scarlet Night, where the moon turned a lovely, if a bit spooky shade of blood red, a mysterious disease known as demon blight has been running rampant. Demon blight, like the name suggests, transforms its hosts into bloodthirsty beasts known as demons. That's demon with an A, since it's basically a catch-all term for monster, and also that way it's slightly fancier. Demons can only be vanquished by exorcists, humans with magical power granted to them by spiritual entities called Malachim. Unfortunately, the lack of exorcists has basically screwed mankind. Good luck, guys. The beginning of the demon blight is known as the opening, and our story begins with us witnessing its carnage 10 years before the game's beginning. A young Velvet, along with her baby brother Laphicet, this one a human, more on that later, are hidden away in the forest by their older brother-in-law Arthur. After comforting them, he goes off to find their sister and his wife Celica. It's not totally clear what happens next, as it's revealed this is actually a nightmare that Velvet is having in the present.
No.
Oh my God! What was that?
Current Velvet is locked away in a dark, dingy dungeon, and herself has seemingly become a demon, devouring other demons. All the while, we are witnessing the events which led up to her imprisonment. We then switch to our prologue, set 3 years ago. Velvet and Laphicet are okay, still living in their hometown of Abal, but Celica died during the opening, along with her and Arthur's unborn child. Arthur is still hanging around, using his power as an exorcist to defend the village from demons, but he has lost the use of his right arm since that night. Likewise, Laphicet is suffering from nondescript childhood illness, which actually is not nondescript. We're going to talk about that one later, but for right now, all you need to know is he is fragile as glass. You know, like that one guy from SpongeBob who says his bones are glass, but like, you know, for realsies.
I was born with glass bones and paper skin. Every morning I break my legs, and every afternoon I break my arms.
Something to note, Arthur keeps speaking to someone that Velvet cannot see.
Your emotions run too hot. That will be your downfall. Agreed. It's one of her virtues as well.
Huh?
Yes, I know. But even so, she's got to...
Arthur?
And it's suggested that it's his Moloch Ceres, who you can tell is important because her name is a palindrome.
Mummy, that man's name is a palindrome. Look away, Johnny. Look away.
Laphicet is also apparently able to talk to her. He has a lot of potential to perhaps one day become an exorcist, not to mention he has grand ambitions of exploring the high seas, learning all he can about the world and the Malachim, drawing maps of the known world, making copies of Arthur's old texts, and longing for the thing every young boy dreams of. A compass.
What's this?
A compass. It uses a magnet to tell you which way you're facing.
Woohoo! You can use the sun and stars for that.
And what'll you do if it's cloudy, huh? Pretty neat, right?
If you say so, Laphi.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
May that compass lead you away from Andrew Tate and the Manosphere, please God. Velvet, meanwhile, is quite happy with her cozy little cottagecore life here in Abal. She spends her days taking care of Laphi, hunting prickle boars in the nearby woods for money to buy his medicine, and gossiping with her BFF Nico.
And you must have been out hunting. Yeah, it was a good haul. Look at you, Lady Breadwinner. If you were a boy, I think I'd be in love. Good thing I'm a girl.
Cut the cameras. Deadass.
Unfortunately, it has become harder to transport Laphi's medicine into Abal because of all the demons all over the place. God damn it. After your first day of errands, Laphicet scampers off before Velvet awakens, much to Velvet's chagrin. Turns out the little bastard made an exact copy of one of Arthur's books so that he could trade it in. Velvet assumes it was for the compass, but he actually did it to buy her a new comb, since her old one broke. Once Velvet's gotten her standard worried big sister lecture out of her system, Velvet takes Laphicet to the Cape to look out at the sea as per his request. You know, right next to the old abandoned shrine of doom that Celica fell into during the opening. It's all about the contrast.
Even Celica used to scare me with it. She was always, "This is a gateway to the underworld." Well, I'm too old to keep falling for that nonsense.
Here, Laphicet and Velvet talk about one of Arthur's favorite philosophical questions. Why do birds fly? Velvet's kind of at a loss, as she's not big on things beyond the small scope of her little world like Arthur and Laphi, the fucking nerds.
Why is it you think that birds fly?
Why? Well, without flying, they couldn't find food.
Laphicet's answer is quite logical and right to the point. There's more to his answer, but he's cut off as the two are attacked by a demon.
Well, if they didn't, they couldn't catch food or escape from predators.
Thought so.
But you know, I think there's more to it than that. A bird that's born with wings has to... a demon!
They both try to protect each other and are saved in the nick of time by Arthur before Velvet passes out. She briefly awakens back at home, to Laphi promising to make a world where she can be happy, then fully awakens to discover another Scarlet Night has arrived. Half the village have become demons, slaughtering the other half, and Velvet runs to the woods to find the missing Arthur and Laphi. Naturally, she finds them at the ominous shrine, where an unseen force holds Velvet back with flames, so that Arthur can, in his words, do what must be done.
Here, once, was the seal to the underworld broken. And tonight, here shall be born the power to save the world. With Laphicet's life as a sacrifice.
The woman was too stunned to speak.
Arthur plans to fight back against the demons, offering Laphicet as a sacrifice to this shrine. How Laphie dies depends on the version, but either way, Velvet breaks through her bonds and grabs Laphie before he dies, even though he's already been fatally wounded. She begs and pleads with Arthur, but Arthur, now distant and cold, looks upon her with pity and contempt.
Nothing can save him now.
No!
I see you will not change. Ever a slave to emotion.
We don't see the gory details, but it is suggested that Arthur cuts off Velvet's left hand, watching as she and Laphie fall into the dark pit. As they fall, an 8-headed serpent, a dragon of golden light, emerges from the darkness, devouring both Velvet and Laphie. In her rage, Velvet is tossed back out as the dragon soars into the crimson sky. She stands engulfed by fury, her left arm now transformed into a giant, monstrous devil claw. Her newfound strength allows her to not only tear through the demon hordes, but also devour those demons, absorbing their strength. She has become what Arthur refers to as a Therian. This transforms the demons back into their original forms, the villagers that Velvet once knew, including Miko. Even further enraged, she charges, but is stopped by Ceres, who is now fully visible, along with several other Malachim. Arthur is unrepentant, referring to himself as Shepherd Artorius Colbrand, who shall bring an end to this world's suffering.
Why is it that birds fly? Behold my answer. Velvet.
Artorius!
We then jump to the present, where Velvet has been locked away on the prison island of Titania, feasting on demons for 3 long years. She has had plenty of time to stew in her hatred, wanting nothing more than to avenge Laphicet, even if it means she'll die with Artorius. She has nothing left to live for after all, now that Laphicet is gone. She's broken out by Ceres, who is rebelling against Artorius and the cold, dispassionate world he's trying to create. Since that night, now known as the Advent, Artorius has become the leader of the Abbey, an institution backed by the Kingdom of Midgand, now the Holy Midgand Empire, and filled with legions of exorcists who have enslaved Malachim for their powers. Velvet is up against the entire world that has been designed to destroy demons like her, but she is up for the challenge.
He serves as leader of the Exorcists' Abbey, an institution that enjoys the unconditional faith of the kingdom and public. A shield to guard the people and a sword against demons, Artorius Colbrand, the world's savior.
With power stolen by sacrificing Laphicet.
I have shattered your yoke.
What?
During their escape, Velvet and Ceres encounter Rokurou and Magilou, with the former thankful for them pointing him in the direction of his sword, Stormhowl.
Riddle these exorcist knives. I've got to reclaim Stormhowl.
Stormhowl? That sword we found?
You found it? Where? Do you have it? Please tell me.
It's in a storage room. Down below.
Down below? You have my thanks.
He's an odd demon.
And the latter being her weird witchy self. The prison break culminates in a battle against Oscar, who has been charged with overseeing Titania. Oscar at one point sacrifices one of his Malachim to try and kill Velvet, which inadvertently transforms it into not only a demon, but a fledgling dragon, the most powerful form of demon. Ceres sacrifices herself to save Velvet, asking that Velvet devour her. Please do not be weird about that.
Please. Consume me.
Like, I'm just like, oh my god. Time and place.
She wants Velvet to take down Artorius, and to do that, Velvet is going to need Cerai's power. Velvet complies in the process, realizing just who exactly Ceres is. Again, not directly told, but it's pretty obvious. It breaks my heart every fucking time.
I treasured those days. When you and I and Arthur were together.
And you did it at my birthday dinner.
With her new power, Velvet devours the dragon, severely injuring Oscar and forcing him to retreat.
My name is Velvet Crow, and I will devour demon, Moloch, and exorcist alike. I am a monster! I am a Therian!
Pussy.
Brenda!
Once that hullabaloo's over, Rokurou and Magilou arrive. Thanks for waiting till after I nearly died, guys. Rokurou says that he's indebted to Velvet for reuniting him with Stormhowl, and as such has become the Rangetsu equivalent of a Wiedenfrugen.
For 1 week, I am going to be your personal Wiedenfrugen.
What the hell is a Wiedenfrugen?
Golden Girls girlies, you get it. Golden girlies? Whatever. Magilou, meanwhile, simply wishes to not die brutally, and so the three commandeer one of the Exorcist ships and escape Titania. Alas, none of them know how to fucking drive a boat and wind up crashing on the shores of Northgate not long after. God damn it. Velvet awakens to find a young Moloch healing her, one with a striking resemblance to Laphicet.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
She then saves him in kind from demons before he scampers off. The treacherous trio makes their way to the nearby city of Helives, hoping to stock up on supplies and to find a ship-making guild to repair their boat. After all, Artorius is in Midgand, the heart of the Empire, and Velvet has yet to find a way to walk on water. I'm just imagining her swimming all the way to the capital and strangling fish on her way. Unfortunately for them, a member of the guild, Dial, was found smuggling a precious, very explosive resource called Flamestone, and when found out, transformed into a demon and fled the city. Until Dial is caught and executed, the guild is prohibited from any fun maritime activities, lest they face the wrath of local exorcistess Queen Teresa.
Guild business is currently suspended by the order of Exorcist Teresa of the Abbey.
To make matters more interesting, that Laphicet lookalike is one of her Malachim's slaves, continually acting against her orders by his own compulsion.
Lady Teresa.
Number 2. Did I give you permission to speak?
Child. Anyway, so...
While Magilou goes off to do whatever witches do, Velvet and Rokurou decide to hunt Dial down so that they can get their ship repaired. This brings them to the nearby village of Beardsley, filled with folks who went against the Abbey, and thus either left or were banished here. Eleanor is here trying to help protect them from demons. Though she claims to understand the Abbey's motive to excise and neglect these people, she still can't bring herself to fully abandon them, and it is clear that this pains her more than she lets on.
Are you crying?
It's just... everything that's going on. Demons run rampant in the Outlands. And yet the Abbey has explicitly chosen not to come to their aid. It's true we haven't the forces to be everywhere at once, and the people of the Outlands refuse to obey the Abbey's rules. It's a heartless decision, I know, but it follows from the Abbey's perfect logic and principle.
Why make excuses to me?
I'm not making...
Velvet and Rokurou track Dial to a nearby cave where they find he's actually pretty chill. You know, once he's not under threat of murder, anyway. Turns out that the whole guild was involved in the smuggling operation, and they used Dial as the fall guy, which became even easier after he contracted demon blight. Dial still got his old personality and wits, though, and simply wants revenge against those who betrayed him. Something Velvet can understand. Velvet decides to leave Dial be, saying he can take his revenge once she and Rokurou get what they need. As proof of his supposed demise, Velvet severs Dial's tail. Don't worry, it'll grow back. You know, probably. Unfortunately, Velvet and Rokurou's ship is way too damaged to be repaired, so that was kind of pointless. And to make matters even worse, Magilou has been caught and just sold Velvet and Rokurou out, preventing us from re-entering Helaviz.
I wasn't stowing away, you twit. I merely boarded without permission.
Oh shit! Oh shit! You're a collaborator with that demon woman. Where is she?
Your tortures are useless against the mighty Magilou. Because I'll spill my guts just fine without him.
You
Desperate, we forge an alliance with Dial. While Velvet and Rokurou distract Teresa and her exorcists, Dial will prepare a ship for our escape. Magilou forcibly joins back up with us during this escapade, and a great fire breaks out due to a flamestone explosion, another one of our distractions. We also wind up accidentally kidnapping the fake Laphicet. Hooray for simultaneously liberating and corrupting the youth. And for arson.
The kid's gonna blow himself up!
Velvet tries making conversation with the kid, but his will's been sealed away and doesn't seem to be coming back. He doesn't even have a name, only having been referred to by Teresa as Moloch number 2.
Kid, what's your name?
Number 2.
Not that. Your real name. Surely you have one.
On our journey to Midgand, we are attacked by Ifrit's pirates, the most infamous scallywags of the 7 or so seas. Eizen, the first mate, is impressed by our torching of Helaviz and suggests that we team up. There's a large gate up ahead called the Fort of Vortigern, which the Abbey uses to control sea travel in this part of the Empire, and we both need it out of commission to get through. Eizen himself is an Earth Moloch, with a strong disdain for the Abbey's enslavement of Molochim. To Eizen, the worst fate is having your autonomy taken away, and his desire to liberate the Molochim from the Abbey's control makes him an invaluable ally. Not to mention his presence also helps to start breaking our new little buddy out of his trance.
Do you know why the needle points north? Who figured out how to make it work? I thought that if I had one of these, maybe I could go on adventures.
The life returns to his eyes, and he starts laughing and conversing with everyone and talking about how much he likes compasses. Velvet clearly starts getting attached to him, so much so that in a dire moment, Velvet inadvertently gives him a name.
His name is John C.
So now, Velvet, Laphicet, Rokurou, and Magilou team up with Eizen and the pirates to take down the Abbey. See, Von Ifrid, the leader of the eponymous pirates, has disappeared, and Eizen believes he was captured by a high-level exorcist. Velvet later confirms this, saying that she'd heard he was imprisoned on Titania, then later dragged away by the exorcist Melchior. So now our mission to kill Artorius now involves discovering whatever became of Ifrid. I wonder if Patty might know something.
Now why am I in it?
We soon arrive in the capital city of Logris, where we do a few favors for local crime boss Tabitha, head of the Bloodwing Butterflies, in exchange for information on Artorius. In doing so, we learn that a member of the Midgand Church, High Priest Gideon, is distributing an addictive substance called nectar, in the hopes that the funds he brings in will sway influence in the church away from Artorius and his abbey and back to himself. Eleanor also discovers this through her own investigations, and during an attempt to assassinate Gideon at the royal villa, thwarts our efforts. Things are made a bit easier when Magilou, seizing an opportunity, swipes a strange-looking Moloch from Eleanor, a Norman named Bienfu.
I will protect you, Madam Eleanor! Come and face me now, demon! He's adorable. Am I? Ooh, I found you at last! That bad voice!
Bienfu actually used to be Magilou's Moloch, and is the one who gave her all of her witch powers. And now with Bienfu back in her possession, it's witch-up time.
Leave Madam Eleanor alone, you
Hello, it's me.
There you are, Bienfu! Did you think you could run from your true mistress?
Things don't go exactly as planned though, as Gideon suddenly contracts the demon blight, and as he flees, is devoured by a bigger, badder demon downstairs. Eleanor is horrified by the sight, not to mention confused as to why the Abbey would be keeping a demon locked up here in the capital. Velvet can't help but notice that its prison shares the same barriers that hers did on Titania. However, she doesn't much care, as she's got bigger priorities. With that all done and Eleanor sufficiently bullied,
Do not mock me! You are the mockery.
the group heads out to the Empyrean's throne, a massive new shrine north of the capital. This place was built to worship an Empyrean, a Moloch with the powers of a god by the name of Innominat. Eizen doesn't seem to recognize the name, as to his knowledge, there's only supposed to be 4 Empyreans for the 4 elements.
Earth, wind, fire, and water.
In our trek to the throne, we encounter a wind Moloch named Zavid.
Heck, wow, you're good, whoever you are.
Like Eizen, he's a Moloch free of the Abbey's control, and he seems to know about Eifried. He even has Eifried's most prized possession, a gun called Siegfried. Eifried, Siegfried, we must be freed.
Go die, like right now.
Siegfried seems to be able to shoot bullets of raw energy, empowering those they hit with incredible strength. Eizen demands to know how Zavid got his hands on the gun, but after a fun battle, he dips, leaving us to fight the shepherd on our own. Meanwhile, Eleanor questions Artorius about the giant demon at the villa, saying that this knowledge is forbidden to low-level exorcists and losers. Artorius scolds Eleanor on her emotionality, then when dissatisfied with her answers to why birds fly, dismisses her.
It's so they can hunt and catch prey, is it
You
not?
are dismissed.
I wasn't trying!
It's like when you're in English class when you're young and your teacher is looking for a very specific answer as to why the curtains are blue, and it's like, ma'am, you don't actually care about why I think the curtains are blue. You want a very specific, pre-tailored answer that you approve of, and this is why media literacy is dead. The group breaks in to try and kill Artorius, and surprise, surprise, we're not exactly prepared to kill the world's savior with the power of a god, who's also several dozens of levels ahead of us. Velvet is fatally wounded, and as Laphicet rushes to heal her, Artorius' lackey squad rocks up. Teresa orders Laphicet to kill Velvet and himself, but Laphicet defies her orders, displaying incredible power as he at last breaks their pact.
Have you forgotten our pact? Your mistress is giving you an order.
I'm sick of your orders! I don't want Velvet to die!
The result opens a strange portal, which the gang escapes through, though the portal also accidentally sucks up Eleanor as she tries to stop us.
You cannot escape!
The universe said thou shalt be part of the squad. Velvet finds herself and an unconscious Laphicet alone, stranded in a strange otherworldly dimension. Upon running into Eizen, he explains that this is the Earth Pulse, a river of nature's energy which runs across the world. Somehow, Laphicet's power tore an opening inside. Though they have escaped the Abbey, they have a new problem. Without his pact with Teresa, Laphicet is at risk of becoming a demon. See, as spiritual beings, Malachim use physical entities or objects as vessels, which they dwell within, which also keep them from contracting demon blight. Eizen's vessel as a Reaper is of course his Reaper's coin. Eleanor offers herself up to become Laphicet's vessel, but in doing so, demands a chance to challenge Velvet to a duel. Velvet accepts and puts Eleanor in her place when she refers to Laphicet as a nameless object. Once Eleanor forms the pact with Laphicet, everyone is spat back out into an underground ruin, where Velvet swiftly kicks the shit out of Eleanor.
If I defeat you, you'll be his vessel and follow my orders until the day you die.
I accept. But conversely, should you lose, I will take your life.
In shame, Eleanor tries to unalive herself. Damn you, monetization guidelines. But Laphicet uses his influence as her Moloch to stop her. As per their agreement, Eleanor has sworn to serve Velvet until the day she dies, though Laphicet tries to make friends with her, because that's just who Laphicet is.
I'm Laphicet. It's good to finally meet you properly, Eleanor.
Why is this stuffed animal talking?
Unbeknownst to Laphicet, Eleanor is contacted by Artorius through one of Melchior's arts, and told to bring Laphicet to him. She agrees, but of course Velvet and Eizen have her figured out from jump because they're not stupid, and Eleanor is not subtle or slick.
You must use your own discretion to execute your mission.
Bruh.
For the time being, they're gonna play dumb and keep a close eye on Eleanor, and Eleanor's like, I'm undercover, but I'm really bad at it. Getting our bearings, we discover that we are in Islegand, on the outskirts of the Empire, and surprise, surprise, Shigude is out here too, training. He's not gonna let us leave until he has challenged us at the port. Future self, use the King Boomy lettuce leaf joke, please, I beg of you.
You can't keep us here. Let us leave.
Let us leave?
Thankfully, we've also run into a demon blacksmith named Kurogane, who just so happens to be the one who forged Stormhowl ages ago. See, Stormhowl was a legendary blade passed down in the Rangetsu clan, and is now wielded by Shigude. The Stormhowl carried by Rokurou is a mere imitation, created while forging the real Stormhowl. It is a prototype, a reject, a loser. Yes. For ages, Kurogane has been trying to create a blade which can surpass and break Stormhowl, an ideal sword he refers to as Stormquell. I see what you did there. You're very, very good at naming swords. He hasn't been very successful, but he's determined. So much so that his obsession has turned him into an immortal demon. Rokurou, wanting to take down Shigude, agrees to test out Kurogane's swords, and so determined are they that Kurogane beheads himself, using his head as material for this attempt at Stormquell. Don't worry, he's fine, he's a demon, he just walks it off. It doesn't work, but Shigude is at least impressed with our determination and lets us go like a good sport. You know, after he and his cat Morgrim bully Eleanor some more.
The entire Abbey knows by now that you're a traitor.
It's just everything that's going on.
It's always bully Eleanor hours. It's the only way she'll learn. Now that we are reunited with the pirate crew, our next goal is to figure out what exactly Innominat is and how his power works, in the hope of finding a way to kill or depower him, and thus making Artorius vulnerable. Laphicet found a book that might be able to help us back at the villa, but it's written in an ancient lost language known as the Ancient Tongue. Or Ancient Avarost for you fucking lore nerds. Thankfully, Magilou knows a Norman Moloch named Grimoire who should be able to help us translate it. Well, she doesn't mention she's Moloch off the top of her head because she is evil and wants to fuck with us. Which I can relate to. I might have gotten it from her.
Why didn't you mention Grimoire as a Moloch before now?
You can't be too careful with that information. Spies listening everywhere!
Before we can set sail to find this grimoire, though, the crew comes down with a case of the Corsair's Scourge, a lethal seaborne illness which basically spells certain doom for the humans who catch it. Think of it as sea Ebola. Seabola, if you will. The only cure is a fucking disgusting medicine called Solitoma, which has to be made from a fucking hideous flower found in fucking Westgand, everyone's least fucking favorite part of the fucking Empire. Fuck. Well, we better fucking find it or we're gonna fucking die. Fuckers. I think Vivzipop might have just possessed me. I normally don't say it that much. During our search, we discover yet another strange demon being imprisoned in the forest. A giant beetle that, after its defeat, Laphicet turns into his new pet.
Laphicet! This thing is so cute! I want to be a bug. Stop fantasizing and help us get rid of it.
What a little bug-loving nerd. I would have squashed that fucker. But we have got the cure for the Corsair Scourge now. Our only problem now is Zavid distracting Eizen again with his cryptic teasing and his open vest. Go catch those gay thoughts, Eizen. Which then leads us to Loringen Tower, an ancient ruin that the Abbey has turned into a training ground for new exorcists. Here we seemingly find Captain Eyfried, crucified because the Abbey likes to be dramatic. Of course, it's an illusion, which Eizen sees through immediately.
When have you ever written a letter to another man? Aside from my little brother, not even once. Your brother? Ah, yes. You told me that once. Eizen, why? I've got no brother.
Unfortunately, he's nearly deceived by an illusion of a young girl with an umbrella, but right in time, Zavid breaks through it himself.
Enough of your tricks!
Those illusions were created by Melchior, who continually keeps sacrificing Malachim to try and kill us, including turning said Malachim into dragons.
Heads up! Wyvern's coming!
Important to note, at one point Zavid shoots one of the Malachim with Siegfried, which seems to free it from Melchior's control. Zavid stops us before we can kill the last dragon, as it goes against his creed of refusing to take a life, even if it is one that has been turned into a demon. In the confusion, Melchior uses an art to copy the formula in Siegfried, discovering its secrets before escaping. Zavid then reveals it was Eifried who freed him from the Abbey's control, which he achieved by using Siegfried.
But when Eifried aimed this baby at me, one shot was all it took to open my eyes. The we had after that was one for the books. He might have been a human, but that guy was a beast.
And so Zavid has felt indebted to help him ever since, trying to figure out what happened to him since his capture. He won't work with us though, since to him, we're just a bunch of kill-happy assholes. And he's not wrong. He's really not wrong.
If you really want to save Eifried, you probably ought to team up with us.
Nope. No can do. You lot will do anything to achieve your goals. Even kill. Sorry, I'm a fighter, not a killer. I won't steal a single life. That's just my creed.
It's just everything that's going on.
We continue on our merry way to the tropical island of Southgand, also known as Shenanigand, where we learn that since their occupation, the Abbey has been suppressing local worship of the Water Empyrean Amanok, or Amanoch as they say it here, but Zisteria taught me it was Amanok, and I refuse to change my ways. They have taken over Amanok's shrine, the Temple of Palamedes, which is being overseen by Oscar, of fucking course. May your remaining eye get a sunburn, you colonizing fuck. After meeting up with Grimoire, she begins translating the Grimoire. Shut the fuck up! With the help of Laphicet.
How old are you?
Ask me again and you'll get a firework in the tush.
My apologies.
The two uncover a song about Innominat, which describes him as the eight-headed lord of the land, with 7 mouths or Therians to devour malevolence. The group figures that malevolence must refer to demons somehow. Laphicet, having discovered that he is able to use his compass to find points where the Earth Pulse energy gathers, realizes that the imprisoned demons they've encountered so far were being held at those points. So they must be the Therians mentioned in the song. Naturally, the group figures that if they take out those 7 Therians, they should be able to weaken Innominat, and conveniently, there is an Earth Pulse point at the Temple of Palamedes. Before we head out, the innkeeper's daughter, having overheard us, asks us to find someone. A priestess of Amanok named Mahina, who has been protesting the Abbey's occupation, and recently her daughter Kamawana has gone missing. Fun fact, in the original, I think her name is just Moana and they changed it to Kamawana. I can only assume so Disney wouldn't sue. Mahina, believing that the Abbey have kidnapped and imprisoned Kamawana within the temple, has gone off to rescue her, and neither have been seen since. Eleanor promises to find them both, much to Velvet's annoyance. The temple is in shambles, a wild demon having slaughtered most of the knights and exorcists keeping watch. To make it a real doozy, it turns sideways that the demon is actually Mahina, which throws Eleanor for a loop.
Well, look at that. Wolfie's got the crest of Amanoch, the same pendant worn by priestesses.
She must be the missing mother, Mahina.
Can't be.
I have a question for God.
She struggles with the idea of killing a mother, even if she's become a rampaging demon. Still, she despises demons, as she lost her village and her mother to them when she was young, which inspired her to become an exorcist to protect the people.
Are you afraid of demons?
No, I am not. It's more like I despise them. 10 years ago, a group of them attacked my village. They destroyed everything. And everyone.
Including your family?
Yes. The only family I had at that point was my mother. All I have left of her is this hand mirror she gave me. I didn't want anyone else to have to feel the way I did. And so I became an exorcist in order to destroy demons. So you can keep your pity.
Gotcha. I will then.
After they come across the Therian, they find the demonic Mahina protecting it. Then, after being fatally wounded by Eleanor, giving herself up to feed it, referring to it as Kamawana.
Mommy, is that Kamoana? No, this can't be happening.
What?
The Therian then transforms into a young girl, crying as she begs for her mother to come back. Yep, the Abbey turned a little girl into a Therian, and Mahina turned into a demon while trying to rescue her. Velvet, curious about something, spares Kamoana, and after knocking out Oscar, the group takes her with them.
The demon was a necessary sacrifice to bring an end to this world's pain and suffering.
That wasn't just some demon. She was a mother. She was all this girl had. Her one and only mother.
Be that as it may, those who possess strong wings must...
It's not nice to make a girl cry.
We are messily adopting so many children. Like, wow. Things get a bit messy though, as on our way out, we find that Kamoana's entire village is falling prey to demon blight. Their bodies radiating with a dark energy Eizen refers to as malevolence. Once we make it back to safety, Eizen and Magilou reveal the truth of how the world works. Of course, fucking Magilou knows. A secret hidden by the Malachim for humanity's own protection. In truth, there is no such thing as demon blight. Rather than being made into demons by a disease, humans naturally produce a spiritual toxin known as malevolence whenever they experience a dark or impure emotion. We're not too exact on what that means, there's no list of what specific emotions cause this shit, but essentially, any powerful, dark emotion that festers within the human heart creates malevolence. Most of the time it's only in trace amounts, but if enough is created, the human generating it will transform into a demon. Normally, most humans can't perceive malevolence, demons, or Malachim. Those who can possess a special ability called resonance, some having more than others, with it taking more resonance to perceive Malachim than demons. When Innominat was halfway awakened during the opening, all of humanity's resonance was amplified, allowing them to perceive demons, hence why they believed in the demon blight breakout. And when the Advent happened, humanity also gained the ability to perceive Malachim, and most Malachim were bound to Innominat's will, hence humanity perceiving Shepherd Artorius and his new god as their saviors. Innominat feeds upon malevolence, and uses the Therians to siphon it through the Earth Pulse points. As such, when Kamoana was removed from her cage, the malevolence she had been devouring had nowhere to go, and in turn, transformed the villagers into demons all at once. Even with the threat of this happening with each Therian they capture, Velvet is still determined to go through with this, so long as it aids in her quest for vengeance. Thankfully, we were also right to not kill Kamoana. See, certain people are receptive to Innominat's power, and those unlucky 7 are then chosen by him to become Therians. If you kill a Therian, Innominat will just choose somebody new to replace them. However, the group believes that if they capture the Therians and remove them from the Earth Pulse points, they will be able to starve Innominat of malevolence, thus weakening and maybe even killing him. We'll need a base of operations to hide the Therians for the time being. As such, we decide to take back Titania, since it has been abandoned by the Abbey and left to the demons. We also escort a mysterious hooded man at the Bloodwing's behest, who turns out to be Percival, the Prince of Midgand. Gasp! Apparently we could tell because he smelled nice.
Something smells nice.
See, Percival's little birdie, creatively named Griffin, wow, is in truth that giant hideous fucking demon beast we saw back at the royal villa, and another Therian. Percival, fed up with the golden shackles that his title and duty entail, couldn't stand his only friend, a bird, being imprisoned and taken from him. And so he's fled with his burb, and is now allied with us against the Abbey. 4 Therians down, 3 to go. And to boot, all these recent revelations have destroyed Eleanor's worldview, but instead of making her unravel, she decides to continue discovering the truth of the world, aiding us in our battle against the Abbey, and fully abandoning the mission given to her by Artorius. Our next couple attempts at Therian hunting aren't all that successful, but they do give us some much needed downtime. The first entails us going fishing. Yay! With Velvet projecting her memories of her brother onto Laphicet, and Laphicet asserting his identity as more than just a replacement. As an apology, Velvet gives Laphicet his own nickname.
But I know you're not the type to give up after a little setback. Isn't that right, Fee?
Fee?
It's your nickname. Not a whole lot of thought put into it, but you're you. You're Fee.
Next, we head off to fight a storm dragon, which is being protected by Zavid. It is here we learn that while Malakim don't produce malevolence like humans, if they are exposed to enough of it externally, they'll transform into a dragon. This dragon was once a Moloch named Theodora, who was also Zavid's lover. Though there is no way to turn a demon back into their original form, Zavid still protects the dragon, fueled by both his love and his creed not to kill.
Is that dragon someone you knew?
I told you, she's not a dragon.
Our next attempt is thankfully fruitful. The next Therian is a woman from Helives named Medusa. See, Medusa's daughter, Diana, wasn't very happy when she got remarried, and her anger transformed her into a demon. After Diana was executed by the Abbey, Medusa raged against them, at which point the Abbey, realizing she was receptive, turned her into a Therian. Unfortunately, Medusa is a diehard disciple of Innominat, now believing that she is doing right by Diana by helping the Abbey awaken the Empyrean and ridding the world of malevolence once and for all.
I knew what I had to do. Become a Therian, and devour malevolence so that such a tragedy would never repeat itself. It matters not what dreadful form my body may take. I will revive Innominat and change this wretched world!
As we take her by force, we also learned that the Abbey has started referring to Velvet as the Lord of Calamity.
Lord of Calamity?
That's the name of the demon lord who will bring about the age of chaos. The unrepentant embodiment of malevolence, whose blind pursuit of self-gratification will rain destruction upon the world. The irredeemable, uncontrollable personification of human sins. An evil like you!
Though she still believes in the Abbey's mission, Medusa softens up when she learns about Kamoana, even becoming a foster mother to her.
She's the same age as Diana. Did the Abbey really turn someone so young into a Therian?
I had a bad dream earlier. My mommy said I looked scary and that she didn't want me anymore.
She would never. Your mother would never think that about her daughter.
But how do you know?
Because I'm a mother too. Mothers always love their children, no matter what. No matter if we die. No matter how the world changes. There's nobody who loves you more in the world than...
It's okay. You don't have to cry.
The next Therian is an Eastgand, about where the abandoned ruins of a ball stand, or rather the once abandoned ruins.
I forgot today was the day Nico was coming. I missed out on buying that special quiche.
That's too bad. I wish she'd just open up a shop here. You'd think it would be easier than always having to make the long trek from a ball.
I heard she doesn't want to leave the village because she's waiting for her missing friend to return.
What are you talking about? A ball's nothing but a ruin.
What? Well, you're a morbid young woman.
We keep hearing rumors about how despite being ravaged by demon blight during the Advent, the town is still thriving, and Nico has been traveling to and from the port town of Taliesin with goods to sell. Velvet is utterly bewildered, then completely shooketh when we save Nico from a demon in the woods.
How are you alive?
I could ask you the same question. Where have you been this whole time?
Somehow, all of the villagers are alive, and themselves are bewildered to see Velvet still alive. Thank God none of them comment on the way she dresses. They are thankful to Artorius for saving them, and Velvet immediately softens up at the mention of OG Laphicet being alive, albeit comatose in their old house.
What counts is that your brother's still alive.
He's alive?
While Rokurou and Eizen decide to go off on their own to be gay detectives,
What's wrong?
Well, that didn't break it.
Next time you suspect an illusory art, test out your theory on yourself.
Velvet, the gals, and Fee investigate the situation, indeed finding Laphie unconscious, but breathing.
You're warm. Laphie, you're really alive.
His wound's healed, but he's never woken up.
I'll find a way to wake you again, Laphi. I swear I will. We'll be together.
Ecstatic to find her brother alive, Velvet reverts back to her old, happy, carefree self, hunting prickle boars and preparing dinner for Laphi.
All right, first I'm going to whip up my special quiche, and then I'll throw in tomato and egg soup, and some pudding.
I didn't even know your face had smile muscles.
Nico, though scared of the revelation of Velvet being a demon, promises to keep her secret, saying that they can live happily in a ball just like old times. Velvet likewise threatens Eizen and Rokurou if they start causing trouble, as her campaign of destruction against the Abbey is gone so long as her little Laphi is back. But is he?
Maybe I made the pudding a little too sweet.
Velvet, how do you know what it tastes like?
Magilou, are there arts that let the caster manipulate dreams?
There is, yes. An art that requires a certain type of Moloch. It envelops you in a fog and reads your regrets, then traps you in a happy dream.
I hate to say it, Nico, but I think I'm a terrible person. I really thought I could have my old life back again, and I could forget everything else. I tried to act like I was doing it for Laphi, but it was all for myself. But I can't forget. I shouldn't forget. Laphi is dead. He was murdered without even knowing why. I will never forgive that. Ever! So get out of my way. If you don't, I'll devour you again!
Discovering the truth, Velvet breaks through the illusion, committing to her mission of vengeance and capturing the Therian, a two-headed fusion of Nico's once cowardly dogs, Orthe and Russ.
It's okay. I killed their owner. I deserve all their hate. And then some. But not now. Understand? Once I get my revenge, you can tear me apart if you like. I promise. Until then, I'll need your help.
Melchior briefly appears to confirm the illusions were his handiwork, and as he swipes a book that we could have used to learn about Innominat, he also sicks a strange demon on us that Eizen seems to recognize. Lucky for us, Fee spots the copy that Laphi made, still intact. Finally, we head out for the last Therian, all the way out in the godforsaken region of Engand, home to haunted shipwrecks and gross marshlands. Sadly, it's nowhere as cool as it sounds. The Therian here is being guarded by Oscar, who has been sent here to test out a new art being developed by the Abbey. Teresa is terrified, since the art is incredibly dangerous at this stage of development. But with her Malachim being taken from her by Artorius, she's powerless. Until she realizes that she's receptive to Innominat. Commandeering a ship, Teresa sets sail for Engand, only to come down with a bad case of the Corsair Scourge. We come across her as well, saving her and the crew as per pirate rules. But we can also use her as a hostage to get Oscar away from the Therian, which Teresa doesn't mind so long as it means Oscar doesn't have a chance to die by the new art.
Oh, it's a beetle.
A Lionel giant thunderstag beetle, to be exact.
Why do they always have such awkward names?
I think it's a cool name.
I've never been able to figure out why boys are so drawn to these things.
Huh?
What's the matter? Didn't you want to see it?
Yeah. Thanks.
Alas, while Teresa does seem to warm up to us, she's still determined to protect Oscar, which includes his reputation, which would be sullied if we succeeded in our goal. As such, she knocks him out, then fuses with the Therian, using her new demon powers to try and kill us. Oscar fights us next, revealing an art which allows an exorcist to fuse with a Moloch, the Armatus. The Armatus, though powerful, is still unstable, threatening to turn the Moloch into a dragon. To prevent this and to stop Oscar, Velvet devours the Moloch, which in turn inadvertently kills Oscar.
He's losing control of the Moloch! Damn it! It's turning into a dragon!
Velvet, quick! Devour that thing! Stop! He's still...
Teresa is horrified and infuriated, which makes Velvet flash back to the night that Artorius killed Laphicet. In the chaos, Velvet also kills Teresa, devouring her soul as well as Oscar's.
So sweet, so innocent, and you took him away! You killed my Oscar! How could you? How could you? How could you? No!
Don't do it!
Though the Therian is gone, the group surmises that it's likely to quickly be replaced, and so they decide to head back to Titania. All the while, Velvet struggles with the slow realization of what she has become.
I'm the same as Artorius. I killed her brother before her very eyes.
It's not the same.
It is the same! But I didn't have any choice! It was the only way to avenge you! It was all for you! I did it for you! I didn't want this!
There's nowhere left to run.
Nowhere for you or for me.
Before we head off, we get word that Titania is under siege by the Abbey, led by Artorius himself. As we rush to save everyone there, we learn that Bienfu has been forced by Melchior through an oath to reveal our plans to him. Hence why the Abbey has always been one step ahead of us. Magilou isn't much surprised by this, as having her own connection to Melchior, knows his ice-cold tactics all too well.
That old man must have planned all of this, from the very moment you escaped me. Even my imprisonment in Titania and my encounter with Velvet. All calculated down to the minute.
Forgive me, Miss Magilou. There was no way I could fight against Lord Melchior's arts.
I don't care. I don't care about anything. And I don't care that I don't.
Oh no! You've caught me red-handed! I've been in league with the Abbey this whole time!
It's not like I trusted you to begin with. Spy or no spy, this was inevitable.
Hey, Velvet. Tell me, what does it feel like to hate? Does it torment you? Is it agony? Does the searing fire of your hatred empower you to feel? Does it give your life meaning where there was none?
Arriving at Titania and fending off several armatized exorcists, we manage to buy enough time for the crew to escape with the Therians, while Percival hangs back with us so that we can use him as a hostage. That's not gonna work though, as Artorius, the clever bastard that he is, has had this all planned out ahead of time. He calls forth Innominat, whose identity rocks Velvet to her core.
Hello, sister. Did you miss me?
Laphicet! Velvet's brother?
So that's his game. That's right. I am Laphicet Crow. And more. I am also Empyrean Innominat, the Suppressor.
Velvet isn't sure whether this is really her brother reborn or another illusion, and so goes through a mental breakdown. As she's having her little crisis, Artorius reveals the truth. Removing the Therians hasn't weakened Innominat one bit. Each Therian was meant to devour a certain type of malevolence needed to awaken him. The first 6 being greed, cowardice, lust, obsession, selfishness, and conceit. Now he just needs the last 2 from Velvet, her hatred and her despair. Once he's had these 2, Innominat will be fully awakened, and able to enact the ceremony of suppression, a ritual in which he will be able to strip humanity of their free will and bind them to his own, the same way that the Abbey has been able to enslave the Malachim. Without their wills, humanity will be incapable of generating malevolence, and thus Artorius will have created a world free of demons.
I never wanted you to go. I wanted you to live. I wanted you to be by my side. But in the end, I couldn't protect you. All I could do was offend you.
But Velvet, I never wanted you to avenge me. It's that sort of selfish emotion that creates malevolence, that creates the demons. That's why I'm going to help Arthur. We're going to make all the pain in the world go away. Including that hate, that ugly malevolence in you.
Ugly malevolence?
The awakened Innominat will suppress all negative emotions. He will remake humanity into beings free from sin.
You take away all their sins, and people aren't people anymore!
I think that's just what they intend. Like how they steal free will from the Malachim.
It will be a peaceful world, free from pain.
So your goal this whole time was to rob people of their free will?
If even an exorcist like you can let your emotions tempt you to betrayal, clearly it is the only way.
Innominat attempts to devour the gang, but Laphicet saves them at the last minute with his power, and we are once again yeeted within the Earth Pulse, which Innominat is using as his vessel. As Velvet continues to McFrickin' lose it.
Come on, we're leaving. I have to kill them.
But Innominat is your...
It's just an illusion! A fake! A trick!
Or what if it was really him? Then that means he betrayed me, doesn't it?
You think I can't kill a traitor like him? Why? Why wouldn't I? Just how many do you think I've killed? You, who watched me do it!
We're revealed bits and pieces of the full story through the Earthen Historia, a record of the planet's memories, imprinted by all living things into the land itself. Before he had come to a ball, Artorius was the student of King Claudin, the previous shepherd who had founded the kingdom of Midgand 3 centuries ago. Claudin had achieved long life through an oath, but as we learn through post-game events, broke his oath to save a young Artorius, which Artorius continually blamed himself for. Left wandering in purposeless exile, Artorius eventually found his way to a ball, where Celica found him and helped him to find a new purpose in the cozy life that they had built together. This is when Artorius started going by Arthur, becoming part of the Crow family. Alas, all good things must end. The night of the opening, demons attacked Debal, and Velvet's family, considered outsiders by the village, was basically tossed to the wolves. Arthur tried to save Celica, only for her to fall into the Shrine of Tranquility.
Celica, I'm coming!
It's too late! Take Velvet and Laphicet and run!
I can't do that! I want to have my life with you! With our child!
Arthur!
Celica!
She and her unborn child became unwitting sacrifices to Innominat, as he had been sealed away here, this act drawing the attention of Claudin's old pal, Melchior. This sacrifice, half awakening Innominat, also resulted in Celica and her unborn child being reborn as Ceres and Fee. It was at this moment, succumbing to the despair of having lost his wife and child, and the knowledge that the people he had tried to help were themselves the ones who left them to die, that Arthur vowed to once more become Artorius and resurrect Innominat. From this moment, Artorius conspired to awaken Innominat. Velvet was blissfully unaware those 7 years, but Laphicet caught on and even offered himself as a sacrifice to complete the awakening.
Can't I be the sacrifice?
Tell me, why do you think that birds fly?
I think that birds fly because they must. Why else would they have wings if not to embrace the sky? I have wings too, weak as they are. That's why I must fly, now! If we miss this Scarlet Night, the next won't be for another 3 years. By then, I won't be alive.
Laphicet suffered from the 12-year sickness, and given he was basically 11.75 years old, figured that if he was gonna die anyway, he might as well die for a good cause. But knowing Velvet would protest their efforts, they both decided to go through with the ritual without her knowledge. Laphicet seemed to hope that Velvet would be happy in the new world created by his sacrifice, but Artorius, on the other hand? Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that he knew exactly how Velvet was going to react, and even planned on that, so she could become his little Therian guinea pig. Velvet is utterly heartbroken and devastated. After already having lost her parents and her older sister, she had been lied to, betrayed, and turned into a monster, but the only two people she loved who were left. Not only was her quest for vengeance pointless, but even the happy life she'd once enjoyed was a lie.
I'll make a new world. A world where my sister can be happy.
Don't talk to me about will! About wings! Both of you! Together! You betrayed me!
That farce is the true face of my sister. She hates, resents, devours, and kills. She tramples people, cities, everything, living only by her emotions. What an ugly, tainted soul.
Laphicet, being reborn as Innominat, devours Velvet's hatred for Artorius, then prepares to devour her despair. He's also looking to devour Fee, as since Fee was reborn as Innominat's sacrifice, is also a fragment of the Empyrean, hence his own incredible powers. Velvet begs Fee to let her go, but Fee snaps her back to reality, saying that even though she's mean, selfish, and a volatile monster, she is also the person who taught Fee what it meant to be alive, and he refuses to let her throw her life away.
Let me go. I have to go.
No!
If you don't, you'll die too for no reason.
No!
A twisted monster like me doesn't deserve to live. Don't you understand?
Laphicet, tell this self-absorbed idiot what she needs to hear!
Please, let me go.
Will you stop whining?
Huh?
No, I don't understand! You snap at people! You're scary! You tried to eat me! But you're also kind! And you're filled with life! I don't understand a single thing about you! But you gave me a name! When I was a number! You gave me that compass! You taught me what it meant to be alive! That's why I care about you, Velvet! I'll protect you for my own sake!
Fee...
I don't care if you're malevolent, or if it was pointless! If the world says it's a mistake to love you, I'll fight the whole world! I don't care how much pain you feel! It doesn't matter! A world without you, Velvet! Is the one thing I couldn't bear!
Let me go. My hand will...
Eat my arm! I don't care! Just leave me the other one! I needed to clobber the jerk who made my Velvet cry!
In this moment, Velvet admits the pain that this has all caused her, and seeing a vision of Ceres comes to grips with her new reality.
I love them all. I loved Laphicet and Celica, Arthur, everyone. To have it all stolen from me. Why them? Why not me? It hurts so much!
flame burns in my heart, too. A flame I cannot quench no matter how hard I try. Just like you, Velvet.
I finally understand how you felt. But the only one I can fight for is myself.
That's good enough. That's proof that you are truly alive.
Her despair is gone, and with her newfound determination to get back at Artorius and Innominat, sends her loser brother flying as she tears open an escape route for the gang out from the Earth Pulse. Elsewhere, Magilou and Bienfu have been separated from the group, finding themselves in a secret abbey base on the forbidden Hexen Isle. Naturally, Melchior is here, and we learn that he was once Magilou's mentor.
How many times do you plan to destroy and rebuild your own heart, Magilou?
We're on 107. Or was it 108? I lost count. You, kid. The boy who was your companion, Laphicet. He's alive. Chasing a terrifying demon girl, he has learned the immensity of the seas and weathered the dry wastes of the land. Those people, they're different from us. Despite the pain, the anguish, they embrace the life they've been given. They live, undaunted by the ugliness of the world!
So you're doing this all for them? Is that what this is?
Not even close. They aggravate me to my wit's end, like stabs in the chest, over and over and over. And that's exactly why I intend to see how all of this ends. I won't be satisfied until I do.
Words bereft of meaning. You truly are my greatest failure.
Gosh, funny just how little I care.
Before he can kill her after torturing her mentally, Velvet and the others rock up to save her, all of them kicking his old ass before Zavid, also rocking up in time, sends his old ass flying into the Earth Pulse. Melchior also brought along Moloch No. 1, the little silver-haired boy Teresa bossed around alongside Fee, and the group decides to take him along, naming him Silva. Before they can escape, Innominat attacks, transforming Silva into a dragon. Though we can't kill it, Fee is able to take Innominat on by himself. When Innominat tries to turn Fee into a dragon as well, Fee unleashes a power called the Silver Flame, which burns away the malevolence. We then reunite with the pirate crew, who are under attack by Melchior's demon pet, which, surprise surprise, turns out to be Captain Eyfried. Fee manages to use his Silver Flame to turn him back into a human, but he's still dying from his wounds. Thankfully, he overheard that Innominat's oppression can be stopped by awakening the 4 elemental Empyreans. To do that, we need to offer up souls free of malevolence to them on a Scarlet Night, which we should be able to do with the souls of the exorcists that Velvet has devoured. We need a special Earth Pulse point called a life pool, where Earth Pulse energy pools together. But seeing as the only one is beneath the Empyrean's throne, we instead opt for a life spring where that energy shoots out instead. Shocker, the only available life spring is Mount Killerhouse, the most dangerous volcano in the world, found at the top of Northgand. Though we've got the souls of Oscar and Teresa ready to sacrifice, we're gonna need 2 more. Thankfully, we still have 2 more high-level exorcists available, Shigure and Melchior. Luring them to Mount Killerhouse, we manage to kill them and obtain their souls, and Velvet does her thing and drags the gods out of bed and down the stairs for school.
Water.
With the elemental Empyreans awakened, Innominat is ousted from the land, sent into the sky, and turning his body into the final dungeon, as any god would do. Not to mention, all of the Malachim previously enslaved by the Exorcists are now finally free. Heading up to face Innominat, Velvet finally slays Artorius in a scene that always makes me cry.
Give up your fight.
I will end the world's sadness. I have to end it!
Arthur's forgotten Maxim! Don't despair! No matter what!
Spoken like a true hero.
It's what you told me once, long ago.
On the day of the opening, Velvet. The Arthur you knew died that day. It was always there, in the back of my mind. If only it hadn't been Celica and my son who were killed that day. If only it had been you two instead.
I thought the same thing. So many times. If it had been us, then I know you would have fought to save the world for us.
It's true. I wanted to save everyone. Such a pity.
Goodbye.
But now, Innominat's power goes wild, and Velvet manages to calm him down. See, since Velvet, Fee, and the Therians are all part of Innominat, they can't kill him without them all dying as well. And so, Velvet has decided to use her power to forever feed Innominat with malevolence, while she forever feeds on him. With both of them eternally sealed away, the world will be safe from Innominat's suppression.
I was the cause of so much chaos and destruction. Help the world I ruined. Help people like me. Help the weak. This is my last selfish request.
That's not fair!
I'm truly sorry.
It's okay. I forgive you. Velvet, I love you.
Thank you. I love you too. Fee.
Even so, the balance of the world has been thrown off kilter. Without Innominat, humanity's resonance has returned to normal levels, most of them now unable to perceive demons and Malachim. The Malachim have been freed, but now exorcists are powerless to fight the demons. And with the elemental Empyreans reawakened, the land itself is about to fall to chaos, the earth rapidly shifting as it succumbs to violent natural phenomena. But Fee is prepared to step up to the plate. With his power, he is named the new 5th Empyrean, and with his silver flame, those wielding his power will be able to purify malevolence, turning demons back into humans so long as they are willing to change.
Demons, malevolence. Did that fire get rid of it all?
No. I'm still very much a demon.
The silver flame has the power to cleanse a soul of its malevolence and change a demon back into a human. But it doesn't have the power to change people's hearts.
It just gives them another chance at life. Isn't that right?
Sorry. Looks like my sins run too deep to fix.
That's fine. It's a part of who you are, Rokurou.
You're still a softie, aren't you?
Malevolence will live on, but there is new hope for humanity. Eizen goes back to chilling with his pirate crew. Even though they can't see him, they still know he's hanging around, since I assume that at least one of them is still falling on a knife once a week. Rokurou, still a demon, is having fun, slaying other demons, still running around, continually seeking the thrill of battle, but seemingly leaving humans be and maybe even protecting them. Magilou is jotting notes down in her journal. Seems like she might be a storyteller of some kind. Interessante. And Eleanor decides to help create this new world, spreading word of the new Empyrean that Fie has become. A dragon of silver light by the true name of Mautelis.
Call me by the name Eleanor gave me. One who lives. That's what Laphicet means. Translated into the ancient language.
Remember that for Tales of Zestiria. Before we dive into story and theme, let's talk gameplay. Admittedly, I'm a story girly, and while I do acknowledge that it's vital to tie story and gameplay together, the story almost always wins out for me. Berseria's gameplay, while definitely enjoyable and functional, is nothing groundbreaking. But for me, it doesn't have to be. It just has to be fun enough to act as the proper vessel for its story and its characters. While Berseria does not feature my favorite combat in the series, I still find it enjoyable, and it's supplemented by the game's fantastic story and characters. Still, I would like to talk about both its merits and pitfalls for a bit, namely in comparison to its predecessor, Tales of Zestiria. Zestiria is often a black sheep of the series, considered one of, if not the worst entries. So the fact that its direct successor became a fan favorite warrants interest, especially considering that while most Tales games are set in their own worlds, Berseria is set in the same world as Zestiria just 1,000 years prior. It's not a sequel or a prequel, and you can play either and follow along just fine, but connections and differences between these two entries have always fascinated me. Personally, I don't hate Zestiria. I didn't hate it when it came out, and I don't hate it now. It was far from my favorite entry, and I had plenty of issues with it, but my I can fix him, no really I can tendencies meant that I kept thinking about the games Zestiria could have been. And I think Berseria rocketing to become my favorite Tales game and one of my favorite games of all time, shortly thereafter, helped shed some more light on my qualms with Zestiria, especially now with the benefit of time. Like the majority of Tales games, Berseria uses a new version of the linear motion battle system, this time dubbed the Liberation LMBS. Now, rather than running on a two-dimensional track toward your enemy and holding a button to run freely, free run is the default. Likewise, you now have full control over the camera in battle. This was largely an effort to deal with the criticism of Zestiria's combat system, namely the limitations on party lineup, the sluggish pace of battle, and the camera itself trying to kill you. Like Zestiria, Berseria has you fighting enemies in the field, rather than being sent to a separate arena specifically designed for battle. These new controls do make that far easier, as well as designing enemies to leave you be if you are headed into a narrow space. Traditionally, the Tales series refers to its special attacks and spells as arts, with an E. In most games, basic attacks are free, with arts costing tech points, also known as TP. However, certain games go for a more combo-focused approach, consolidating all attacks into arts and replacing TP with a cooldown approach, with a different name depending on the game. In Berseria, it's called the Soul System. You start battle with 3 souls and thus can chain a combo of 3 arts, losing or gaining souls depending on whether you stun or slay your opponent, or your opponent stuns you. Blocking, usually on one of the face buttons, has now been moved to the left shoulder button. All 4 face buttons can be assigned its own art, with you able to customize your art chains yourself. Liberation LMBS, baby! It is a very spammy approach to battle, feeling frantic and kinda cheap, especially with the use of break souls, where you sacrifice a soul to become a fucking tank and kick ass, in a unique way depending on your character.
I've never seen such a demon!
But me? Oh, I dig it. I dig it very much. I can see why it's not up many people's alley, because 9 times out of 10, it's very fucking brainless. It's wild how much more thought the TP system in Tales of Zestiria requires, without sacrificing the fun or flashiness. Still, I can accept this, as, again, I'm a story girly. So long as my brain go burr, I'm good. Especially because, at least to me, it still feels incredibly cathartic to use my break soul 15 times in a row to slaughter everything on screen. really helps sell that you're a bloodthirsty monster now. It's like Cookie Clicker, but like the bloody version. The art style is also fine. We've still got a cel-shaded look relying a lot on textures, though while Xillia looks a bit more painterly, Zestiria and Berseria feel flat. Very flat colors, kind of drab in a lot of places, very gray. But yay, now we have rim lights on our characters. Which, I mean, yeah, at times the rim lights can look more impressive, but to me, it kind of just makes everything feel overly plastic, almost like there's a greasy sheen on everything that makes me want to wash my hands immediately. I will say though, playing on a handheld PC as well as my delving into texture painting in Blender has given me much more appreciation for the texture work on the characters. The baked-in texture lighting on all the clothing, all the little wrinkles and folds suggested by shading, go a long way in making the designs feel more impressive and not just flatly colored blobs on screen like in certain shows about girls with colors with literally no textures to speak of. Sometimes, especially when it comes to cel-shaded anime-esque looks, you can't trust the built-in lighting engine to do a toon shader right. Sometimes you gotta cheat your normals, and sometimes you gotta cheat your lighting through your textures. Not to mention, the character animation is quite impressive this time around. Character animations were fine in the Xillias, but felt uncanny and unimpressive in Zestiria. In Berseria, meanwhile, there seems to be more attention given to character mannerisms and expressions. I just love seeing the way that Magilou sways to and fro when idle, or Eizen lurches back to try and look scary. The way eyes and facial expressions are also animated especially gets me. Once more, my Steam Deck OLED also remedies the color problem by adding a bit of saturation to the look, but I would argue that these games prove that it was really the art direction and cultural influences that came to the Xillia's rescue. Both Zestiria and Berseria are going for this Western medieval European vibe, specifically using Arthurian lore as part of their world building. And maybe it's just me, but that in combination with the flat colors and lighting makes this world feel more generic compared to the other Tales games, at least visually and aesthetically. That said, Berseria at least has a bit more going for it than Zestiria. Environments aren't nearly as large or as sprawling, but likewise don't feel nearly as barren and tedious to traverse. And while Zestiria was confined to the usual forests and caves, Berseria does get more variety thanks to its use of several islands with different climates, like the frozen reaches of Northgand, the tropical paradise of Southgand, or the eternal autumn of Eastgand. Really get your Gand. Naturally, these three regions feature my favorite towns. Mershio being this snow-covered village with a dock overlooking a frozen harbor of trapped ships feels so cozy, and that means a lot coming from me, a bitch whomst hates winter and wants her dead. While living in Taliesin would probably kill me with all those goddamn stairs, I do love the fact that it's built into this rocky cliffside with cable cars to get around and transport goods. Though if I had to choose a place to live, it would probably be either Isolt or Abal. Isolt is one of my favorite tropical locales, with wooden buildings suspended on platforms above the sand and beaches. Abal, meanwhile, gets to enjoy the objectively superior color palette of autumn, with these adorable, almost witchy-shaped buildings. Like, look at those rooftops. Those are witch hats. We love. I wonder if Magilou was the architect. Granted, living in Abal would probably mean my death, but, you know, so long as I die surrounded by pretty things and I get my chance to live my best gay cottagecore life beforehand, I'm down. What I will say, though, is that ever since the Xillias, I have not enjoyed how environments are strung together in this corridor-like way. Like, Southgand is basically a hallway from Isolt all the way to Palamedes, and same for Eastgand from Taliesin to the Tranquil Woods. It's a byproduct of ditching the overworld approach, but I would like to see more of a spiderweb kind of approach where areas are more interconnected. Fuck the caves, though. The caves are as boring as ever. I get it. How do you make a cave more than just a bunch of gross rock walls and dirt? I say find a way, motherfucker. It's your job. Because the hallway problem is at its worst here, especially since it's all just the same rocks and dirt, just in different ugly colors. I do appreciate the attempt at giving the player more to do out in the field, not only through treasure chests and discoverable blinky things, but also cat spirits, which you can use to open cats' boxes for fashion items. It's not much, but it's something. And thank the Empyreans for the geoboard. Where the fuck was that in Zestiria? Do you know how much a geoboard would have spared my sanity in Perlot's pasture or Zafgot Moor?
I'm so worn out. out! I feel like I had to sprint the whole way here!
Huh. Seems like operating the board saps a lot of energy from Bienfu.
Even still, this board gives us a strategic advantage. Brave here will just have to bear a little exertion now and then.
Yeah, Brave. Buck up.
I believe in you. Be brave.
Ah! Stop calling me that!
And real quick, I also just want to talk about the voice acting. It's so good.
My brother! My Laphicet! What did you ever do? Get out of my way!
I've always been a dub girly. I will admit it helps me process information better, and generally I feel like English dubs are a lot better than they get credit for. Especially in the Tale series, I feel like the dubs have been, at their worst, still pretty solid, and flat out amazing at their best. Berseria has to be peak though. Christina V is perfect as Velvet.
Lord Artorius would never have done such a thing.
No. What's so unbelievable? That he used his wife's brother as a human sacrifice? That he imprisoned his wife's sister? Because that's what your damned holy shepherd did! All to get his hands on Innominat's power!
I'm sure he had a reason for...
A reason? To spare the world of its pain? Don't give me that! Who will spare my brother's pain? Who will soothe my brother's despair? He murdered my little brother Laphi! And you'll stand there and tell me it was for the greater good?! At any rate, that's one less Therian for us to track down. She does well when Velvet is super lighthearted and cute, but also fits her perfectly when she's dark and broody. She does a really good job at this husky, cold voice that still has traces of vulnerability to it, especially when she's yelling or crying. Damn, it makes me sob like a bitch. And I just find it really funny that both in English and Japanese, Velvet shares a voice actress with Sailor Mars. Erica Lindbeck is phenomenal as Magilou. I'm really impressed with how different her performances as Magilou and Shion in Tales of Arise are. Like, she does such a good job at Magilou being whimsical and carefree and apathetic, but also very clearly hurt by the tragic shit in her past.
Those people, they're different from us. Despite the pain, the anguish, they embrace the life they've been given. They live, undaunted by the ugliness of the world!
I could go on about all of the performances. They're just, they're so good. The only sore spot is Kamawana, which, like, it's not her fault. I don't know who voices her actually, but it's just, the voice is a little bit too raspy. But then again, that could also be an intentional thing because, you know, she does cry a lot and kids are kind of annoying, especially when they're crying. I don't know, I still feel for her, but it's also like, damn, my poor eardrums. And last for this section, the music. It's fine. It's fine. Motoi Sakuraba still refuses to sleep, but I do like how retro the music feels here. It's a lot more synthy and artificial than Zesteria's score, but as such, winds up feeling far more memorable to me, even if the production tends to leave a bit to be desired. The real champion here, though, are the leitmotifs and character themes. The Abbey's theme really gears me up to punch them in the throat.
It's them!
And I adore Velvet's theme and all of its renditions. Chance Meeting with Myself, Determination from Within, and True Will, all playlist worthy.
How could I ever... Nowhere left.
I love them all. I loved Laphi and Celica, Arthur, everyone. To have it all stolen from me. Why them? Why not me?
but these songs wouldn't hit me nearly as hard if it weren't for what they mean, the characters they represent, the journeys they communicate, and the themes they convey. And now it is time to delve into what really makes Tales of Berseria my all-time favorite. Now, because this is a visual medium, let's talk character design. For our protagonists, we've got 4 designers: Mutsumi Innominat for Velvet, Minoru Iwamoto for Laphicet and Eizen, Daigo Okumura for Rokurou and Magilou, and Kosuke Fujishima for Eleanor. Velvet's design has drawn quite a bit of contention since the game's announcement.
Aren't you cold dressed like that?
Sinner!
Her dark, broody personality of course calls for an equally dark look. Black cloak, preferably tattered, and a lot of harsh, shiny metal for both contrast and blunt coldness. It's quite a busy design, especially with all the goddamn belts on her thigh. Did y'all call Tetsuya Nomura? And all the tears on her shorts and pants, but I do think overall the vibe suits her well. She looks like she's seen some shit and will kick your ass if you cross her, probably with the fucking sword she has in her shoe. The issue here is the sexualization, namely with Velvet's top and shorts. In universe, this outfit doesn't originally belong to Velvet, and so is explained away as not quite fitting her. And there's of course the obligatory lamp shading. Still, Velvet's design didn't have to be that way. Nothing in Velvet's character has to do with wanting to look attractive. If anything, she doesn't really give a shit about how she looks. There's literally a recurring comment on how she neglects to care for her hair, letting it flow loosely and become a mess, with only a couple ties to keep it out of her way. Personally, her design has never bothered me. It was kind of clear it was for the straight boys, whereas my gay ass was busy drooling over Rokurou and Eizen. Yet Velvet's design featuring such prominent sexualized elements does, I think, distract from what I love about her character. It makes me slightly embarrassed when I tell people that she is among my favorite characters of all time, and low-key makes me wonder if other fans love her for the same reasons I do. I do generally like the way that the designs translate into 3D for the Tales series, but I must admit, these problems with Velvet's design do get exacerbated by her model. I really wish they went for a top that didn't draw so much attention to her chest. I don't mind the shorts since her pale skin tone helps to track where her legs are along with the metal boots, but maybe have them cover more of her hips and upper thighs. I can't say for sure why Innominat designed Velvet this way, and I don't mean to disparage her work. Her design of Mila in Tales of Xillia had a similar issue, though I did find a comment of Berseria's director, Yasuhiro Fukaya, mentioning how the team asked Innominat to make Velvet as attractive as possible, which is, it's an interesting comment, for sure. And it doesn't seem to be from Innominat herself. She's designed Leia and Rowan in Tales of Xillia, Mikleo and Lila in Zestiria, along with the entire cast of Destiny, Eternia, Rebirth, and Graces. And none of the women in any of those casts seem to share that sexualization issue that Mila and Velvet suffered from. Naturally, my assumption here comes from input from Innominat's superiors to make the leading ladies more attractive to their ideal demographic. For what it's worth, I do think Innominat did a good job on Velvet overall, and were it not for the weird notes on her needing to be as attractive as possible, it could have slayed even harder. Sadly, while researching this design process, I had realized that Innominat had passed away last year. I'm not sure how that slipped my notice while making my Xillia video, but I will direct y'all to this Reddit post commemorating the cover art of Tales games featuring her designs. Laphicet and Eizen, designed by Iwamoto, fare a bit better, and I do like that the two Malakim share a designer. They're radically different, one being a pure small bean and the other being the goddamn Reaper, but something about their designs helps communicate their spiritual nature. Malakim and Seraphim tend to have hyper-saturated ombre hair, usually tied to their element. In Laphicet's case, that is a dirty blonde, changing into white at the bottom for light, and for Eizen, it is a bright blonde, subtly changing to a more orange color. Laphicet is also so absurdly tiny, which does track given his design is meant to communicate youth and innocence. Baby boy didn't even make it out of the womb before life started hurting him. The contrast between him and everyone else helps him to bring a bit of light into this brooding cast. He's got this long white robe covering his whole body with big poofy sleeves and a cute little pouch to steal things. I mean, carry his compass. The Abbey's color palette tends to be white with yellow and blue accents, but the poofier elements of Fie's design, I think, help to separate him as a softer, more kind-hearted character. His yellows are also a bit brighter and more saturated compared to the muted, dirty golds that the Exorcists have, which is fitting, seeing as how repressive regimes usually prefer muted, if at all, no colors. The blue collar helps to cool the design down a bit and add some visual interest. Fie has another collar and, I'm not sure why. I can only assume it's because Malachim are tantamount to tools or pets to exorcists, and the gold bell is giving cat.
I said nothing all those times you snuck off to the library, did I?
You knew about that?
Of course I knew. But I was just letting you roam free like a master might let her little pup.
I do get having a comically large accessory like this on a smaller character, but I kind of wish that Fie ditched it after breaking free of Teresa, or at least replaced it with something that didn't have the connotation of ownership. Normally bob haircuts are a hit or a miss, but I really like the way that Fie's frames his face and even kind of hides it, like he's trying to shield himself with it. And his little cowlick is so cute! I love cowlicks. I love them. Or ahoges, whatever you want to call them. Fie's, interestingly, is shaped kind of like a halo. Very fitting for this little angel who's going to save us all from Innominat's judgmental fuckery. Eizen, meanwhile, is this tall, lanky motherfucker trying to look more intimidating with his bulky black coat. Like, at first glance, Eizen kind of gives that he has a bit of muscle, and then he takes the jacket off and you're like, oh, you lanky. I don't mind, though.
Fucking
I love this tiered bell shape on his sleeves, and I dig the faint vertical stripes both on his jacket interior and his vest. The colors do help him to match his title as the Reaper, but still keeping his connection to Earth through the yellows and oranges. And even the fact that the blacks in his design have orange and brown undertones. The blade being used as a lapel, excellent. Normally I would be worried about accidentally stabbing myself, but I think it's a nice detail that helps to make Eizen look more dangerous than he actually is. And the fact that it's over his heart? You know, maybe I'm reaching, but Eizen is super guarded because of his curse, so maybe it's a subtle way of saying, don't get close to me unless you want to die. Which, be careful who you are daring, sir.
Just he can never not be gay for 5 seconds. I'm just like, can you not be gay for 5 minutes?
Also, when Eizen goes Reaper mode and starts radiating what I assume to be malevolence, I kind of love that he gets those giant wings of black smoke and glowing yellow eyes. The wings may or may not have inspired details of a certain similar thing in my book. I'm just saying. Now, for the two weirdest, silliest whack jobs of the team, Rokurou and Magilou, we've got Daigo Ukumura, who apparently designed Repeat in Vesperia, and also Luker in Xillia 2. One of these things is not like the other, and it's not the dog. Of the cast, these two definitely stand out the most, which fits considering Rokurou's from an entirely different culture, and himself is an outcast and certainly the most lively of the bunch, while Magilou is Magilou. But I think it makes sense to have the most outlandish and energetic characters be given a designer who is going to know how to communicate that visually. Rokurou's design with the samurai pants, the half-on robe, and all the little bits of armor help to give him that warrior flair, and the clashing colors make him look far more striking. The purples and oranges contrast so violently, with the bits of red trying to toe the line, and the pale purples bordering on white trying to give the eye places to rest. The yellow armor, meanwhile, draws your eye to his arm and torso. Initially, it seems like it should be far too busy, but for me, I think it is segmented well enough to help understand Rokurou. He's a swordsman who, yes, is quite bloodthirsty. He's a yaksha, or a war demon, so battle is quite literally his love language. But he's also incredibly laid back, chill, and accepting, and comes off as the most normal, well-adjusted member of the cast when he's not severing people's limbs. And I also dig it when dudes let their hair grow out, so Rokurou's messy bangs covering one eye and tied into the short ponytail. Oh yeah, I approve. But the added detail that it is also covering the part that would give him away immediately as a demon, fuck yeah. I especially love when it parts to show off the corrupted skin and red eye beneath, because that is when you know he's in bloodshed mode and it's time to run, girl. And Magilou. Oh, Magilou. Her design might very well be my favorite of the bunch for how well it captures her unique essence. Firstly, that she's a witch, but also a total goddamn fool. Something about these alternating patterns of purple, black, and pink with all the triangular shapes give jester, and I think that is largely owed to the hat. She Jester hats tend to have multiple tendrils jutting out from the top. Magilou's hat has 2 pointy bits, with one drooping down like a Jester's hat. It helps to communicate both witch and Jester, and provides an insanely good silhouette. I adore the feathered collar as it helps to frame Magilou's face and give off the same vibe as a collar you would expect from a well-to-do noble, but a little bit off. The alternating colors on her arm warmers and pants, along with the fact that both are flared at their ends, help to make Magilou's outfit give a bit of controlled chaos energy. And the book skirt with the long tail at the back, fuck yeah. It is so fucking insane and ridiculous, and yet it works. Like, of course Magilou would decide to just make the object she would use to cast spells or share forbidden knowledge as fashion.
On the right, I've got my household ledger in the back, and my magic encyclopedia in the front. That one I mostly use for oil blotting paper.
Her hair in the model is more shapy than her concept art, though I do kind of appreciate that. The curled yet still angular shape helps to not only give Magilou a stronger silhouette, but also feels silly, but in a way that's witchy, for lack of a better word. Like she's using nefarious forces to style her hair. And finally, Eleanor, designed by Kosuke Fujishima, who is an absolute design veteran for the series. Like Laphicet, Eleanor shares the Abbey's color palette, but she has way more golds, yellows, and blues than the others, again distinguishing her compassion and humanity from their coldness, likely due to the strong presence of blue in her jacket. Eleanor's design feels soft, warm, and cute, but still practical. I love her bolero jacket, and I love the poofy skirt, and I love the pigtails. It gives her a unique silhouette, and again makes her feel more approachable and down to earth, like she is just an ordinary girl doing her best, and hasn't had her heart ground to dust by the Abbey, or Melchior. I really like the slight patterning on Eleanor's dress and shoes. I have noticed that Fujishima's designs tend to feature really iconic patterns, like the entire cast of Vesperia, or his designs of Jude, Alvin, and Elise in Xillia. Yes. Now, I am pissed that most of the costumes in Modern Tales games are exclusively sold as DLC, oftentimes being completely lost when the storefronts of their respective consoles go down or licensing agreements end. How I wish we could get the badass alternate costumes that we saw in Abyss, like Luke's Wild Saber, or Guy's Blade Master, or Tyr's Cool Chick. But that said, I do at least appreciate the alternate colors to switch things up. For the most part, these alternates are just okay, but weirdly, I think all the Berseria ones slap. Velvet looks shockingly good in this teal cloak with the red and gold accents. I love Laphicet in this deep forest green. I would argue red looks even better on Eizen than black. Maybe I'm biased there. The silver really suits Rokurou, and I really like these soft maroons and pinks for Eleanor. But my favorite alternate by far is Magilou's. What can I say? I'm a sucker for black, white, and red. And sometimes yellow, sometimes. The Abbey, meanwhile, managed to look like a cohesive unit while still having enough differences to distinguish them. Fujishima handled Artorius, which I think helps to give him the air of looking like he would have been the protagonist of any other Tales game, or at least a mentor figure. I love this huge cloak covering his injured arm, covered in all these intricate patterns that, if you look closely, seem to represent Innominat. Iwamoto handled Oscar, Teresa, and Melchior, making sure that these three suited the elegant, classy vibes of the Abbey. Oscar again looks like your standard fair blonde hero. Teresa's gorgeous flared skirt, ruffled sleeves, and perfectly curled hair make her look like a goddamn queen. And I really do dig Melchior's ridiculous hat and monocle as much as I make fun of them. They all look like upper echelon assholes who think they're better than you, and I'm gonna kick their asses for it. Shigure, meanwhile, was designed by Okumura, which tracks. He may be with the Abbey, but he's still playing by his own rules, as expected from Rokurou's big brother. He's got a similar color palette to the others, but replaced the blue with black and orange to give him a bit of energy and edge. And naturally, he's showing off his chest and abs, on the one hand to show off the fruits of all his intensive training, and on the other to promote the gay agenda.
Hi, gay!
Because, like, girl, how could you not at least consider it looking at him? Overall, the designs do a great job representing the characters, with the only real stumble being Velvet's over-sexualization. Still, my inner art geek appreciates the effort that went into these designs. It takes a lot of effort to make a collection of designs look both chaotic and cohesive. Now, as for the character writing itself, I have to say, of all the Tales games, it is the strongest it's ever been here. Because the protagonists are billed as out for themselves, it means more effort has to be put into keeping them around for the plot. And I think that's paid off well. Everybody here has a strong, compelling reason to be here, and they're all so drastically different, nobody feels redundant or useless. Not to mention that the natural conflicts between them make for juicy storytelling. It can be a bit off-putting for a series where you kinda expect everybody to be fast friends, and sometimes it can come off as needlessly mean and exhausting. I'm definitely not glaring at her eyes, what are you talking about? But here in Berseria, you can really see how the characters challenge each other, changing each other's perspectives and inspiring growth in each other. The journeys of each of these losers are all compelling in their own right, but together create something far greater. You get to see how each of these pieces interlock, and in that, witness how a band of antagonistic misfits becomes a well-oiled machine and even a found family. Maybe they'll never be besties, but by the end, you can tell that they all respect each other at the very least, and do have some level of love for one another. Thematically, this also defeats Artorius and Innominat's idea that to achieve peace, they must destroy individuality and conflict. Our team is living proof that despite our differences, we can come together to achieve our goals and protect each other. The antagonists, meanwhile, manage to feel intimidating and compelling throughout, and like I mentioned before, the Abbey makes for an excellent opponent in terms of story structure and theme. But individually, you can also see why each antagonist is on their side, be it for ideology, political power, or a selfishness that is conveniently served by this allegiance. Let's get started with our leading lady, our beloved Lord of Calamity, and quite possibly one of my favorites, if not the favorite character of all time, Velvet Crow. No, that's not an exaggeration. This woman owns my entire being. Despite the edgy, angry gal she appears to be on the surface, at her core, Velvet is a girl who wants nothing more than a comfy, cozy life with the people that she loves. Having already lost both her parents when she was young and her older sister and stand-in maternal figure before she had even become a teenager, Velvet's life was already irrevocably shaped by tragedy and loss. Add to that the burden of caring for Laphicet to the best of her ability, it makes sense that Velvet would cling to the rustic routines she had grown accustomed to in a ball, and to the cherished memories of her small circle.
I do want to buy Laphie a nice heavy winter coat. And Arthur's gloves are in tatters, so he needs new ones.
Oh, don't be so boring! I get where you're coming from, but come on! Think big! Dream, Velvet! Dream!
Think big? No thanks. I want a peaceful life with Laphie and Arthur. That's all.
You're impossible. Then again, maybe that's why your quiches taste so darn good.
Her world didn't need to be any bigger than her hometown. In fact, most of the horrors that she'd experienced, in her view, were external interruptions. Her passion for life isn't one of ambition, but rather one of enjoying the present, of making the most of her time with what's left of her family. Unfortunately, that blinds her not only to Arthur's distant machinations, but also Laphicet's own grief and ambitions. It's not clear if Velvet knew about Laphicet's exact condition, but regardless, whenever he expresses his desire to see the world, to become an exorcist like Arthur, while Velvet is supportive, it's hesitantly so. Her main desire is to ensure Laphicet's safety and well-being, which largely means scolding him for getting out of bed too much or leaving the house alone. Things that most of us able-bodied healthy folks take for granted. It's even worse for a kid with such a strong sense of wanderlust like Laphie. Velvet is sure to listen to Laphicet when things are calm, but even as she does talk Laphicet up in what he could become one day, she admits to the other villagers how she dreads the thought of him leaving, of his world becoming more than just her, and in turn, of her being left alone.
He refuses to stay in bed. He needs his rest, but he's always walking around or reading outside.
I can't say I'm surprised. He's always been a curious lad. He likes reading difficult books. When I saw him the other day, he told me all about the latest navigation techniques and exotic farming methods too. Only one kid in a million is as smart as he is.
You're exaggerating. Well, maybe not.
It's a shame. If he could go to school in the capital, I'm sure he'd make a name for himself as a scholar.
The capital? Isn't that days and days by ship from Taliesin? No way. Not happening. Even if he gets better, I could never let him go that far away all by himself.
He can handle it. He's actually a very responsible boy. I don't think you need to worry.
I couldn't handle it. I would worry. And be lonely.
This is why she snaps so badly when Laphicet is killed by Artorius. She lost both of her brothers that night and her home. The happy little world that she'd clung to was broken, and being turned into a demon and imprisoned for 3 entire years with nothing to eat but other demons, it's not all that shocking she emerges the callous, vicious, single-minded woman she does. She has nothing left to live for anymore. Her desire for revenge is partly cathartic, but for most of the game, she really does believe it's purely for Laphicet, because at her core, she doesn't really seem to care about herself all that much.
He will cut me. He will burn me. And I will keep charging forward. Your job is to keep healing me so that I can stay on my feet.
A sacrificial assault, then.
But, Velvet, you'll...
That's an order. I killed their owner. I deserve all their hate. And then some. But not now. Understand? Once I get my revenge, you can tear me apart if you like. I promise. Until then, I'll need your help.
She's lost her reasons to live, she's lost all that she loves, and it has become harder for her to just enjoy being alive like she used to. Her inability to taste anything other than blood isn't just something edgy thrown in for the sake of a darker tone. It's representative of her losses.
Gotta say, the folks here really don't trust the exorcists, do they? This is actually rather good. What's wrong? A worm?
Nothing. Can't taste a thing.
Huh?
Think of the simple joys that you have in your life, like the ability to enjoy your favorite food or the satisfaction of feeling full from a good meal. Velvet's trauma and subsequent transformation have robbed her of both of those simple pleasures.
You can't taste anything?
Not entirely. I can taste blood.
Nothing else?
Nothing. And I don't think I can feel full either.
You don't think? You talk like you've never had a good meal before.
I haven't. Not normal food, at least. Not since I became a demon.
So, what have you been eating?
Please. You were in that prison with me.
I'm sorry.
Forget it. This is just what I am now. As long as I have a recipe, I can still cook. And now I don't even have to worry about how it tastes.
I suppose.
Food keeps my strength up. That's all I care about.
Velvet's not a very big picture person. She never was. She may be going on globe-trotting adventures now and inadvertently saving the world from Artorius' warped agenda.
Laphicet, he wanted to travel the world?
Yes, it was his dream. I never understood what made him want to do something so dangerous. But I'm living his dream now. It's ironic, isn't it?
But I cannot stress enough emphasis on the inadvertently part of the sentence. The game never shies away from Velvet's selfishness, her obsession, her willingness to hurt and destroy to achieve her goals.
The people have worked so hard to withstand this time of crisis. How can you destroy what they have so painstakingly built?
Because I'm not human. We tear the Therians away from their Earth Pulse points. Innominat's power will wane, and will prevent this awakening.
But if we take away the Therians, then more and more humans will turn into demons.
It's the only way to kill Artorius.
Ooh, the knives come out.
She's not a great person, but you still can't help but root for her, because she kind of was plunged into all this by forces beyond her control, by people she once loved, and in a way still loves. She may say she doesn't care if the world views her as a monster, as the Lord of Calamity, and maybe that's true.
Quit overthinking things. Just blame all the suffering on the Lord of Calamity. Makes life easier.
You wish to sacrifice us to the 4 elemental Empyreans, is that it?
Yes. I won't apologize for that, either.
Your sins are nothing a mere apology could ever absolve.
I know.
At least you're aware of how selfish you are. Good for you, then.
But it is very clear that everything she does, all the people she hurts and kills, take a toll on her psyche.
I know I might die if I go through with this, but still I have to do it. Even if it means I have to sacrifice everyone that I know, even you who saved me. The Lord of Calamity isn't a demon lord. She's just a selfish, horrible girl.
Yes, Ceres asked Velvet to kill her to acquire her power, but that choice still haunts Velvet, especially learning that she knew Ceres was Celica reincarnated when it happened.
The female Moloch that was born along with him was...
my sister's reincarnation, but I ate her long ago.
You didn't know, right?
I knew. I had already caught on to who Ceres really was.
Velvet.
But it doesn't matter. What does it change? I'll devour anything to fulfill my goal. My sister, my brother, even the world. That's who I am. That's all I am.
It's Fee that begins to give Velvet more to live for than just revenge. But of course, it's not as simple as just replacing someone you lost with someone similar. We'll go into that a bit when we talk about Laphicet himself, a little Fee here. But I think it's important to see not just how Velvet sincerely cares for Fee's safety as someone to look after, but also comes to respect Fee's own autonomy and identity.
Laphicet, you know you don't have to do this if you don't want to.
I'm going with you, Velvet.
I see. Eleanor, there's something I want to be sure we get perfectly clear.
All right. What is it?
Laphicet is not your little Moloch.
What? That's all you wanted to say? You realize he doesn't belong to you either, right?
Indeed I do. Laphicet's his own person, and not anyone else's.
You're right. Malachim aren't just tools to be used by exorcists as they pleased. I'll be more careful not to forget that.
Good, as long as we're on the same page.
When Fee calls her out for projecting Laphicet onto him, Velvet apologizes, creating the Fee nickname as a way of proving that she recognizes him as his own person.
Laphicet.
Let's get the line set up properly. First, you take it and thread it through the hook, like so.
That looks hard.
Hey.
Once you get the hang of it, you'll be able to do it with your eyes shut.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
Laphie!
Huh? Stop it! What do you know about me anyway?
I know that looks silly on you.
All you know is you're Laphie.
Isn't that right, Fee?
Huh?
It's your nickname. Not a whole lot of thought put into it, but you're you. You're Fee.
Sure, he may not like the nickname all that much, but it counts for something.
I don't like being called Fee. I really don't. I think that name's too childish.
Her relationship with Fee is the main source of Velvet's happiness and compassion when she becomes a demon. She forms a camaraderie with the rest of the cast, but I don't really consider any of them friends, save a couple exceptions. Fee is really the heart of the team, and without him, I cannot see Velvet having any of her best moments that help to humanize her. Still, she has her moments. She's still able to joke around with the others, even if she's deadpan. And despite her animosity turned rivalry with Eleanor, she does offer assistance and tips for her adjusting to life with the pirates.
You should keep washing and bathing on your own schedule, like however you did before falling in with us. Just let me know and I'll make it work. Because the guys aren't considerate enough to stop and ask you if you need to.
That was a surprisingly normal thing for her to say.
Yeah, it's pretty much exclusively due to Eleanor being needed to provide Fee a vessel, but Velvet didn't have to go this far in helping out Eleanor. Velvet's defining moment, though, is the discovery of Laphicet being reborn as Innominat and his role in Artorius' plan. Learning that her own brother conspired against her and now openly disdains her very existence, it is no wonder Velvet undergoes a complete and utter breakdown.
We're going to make all the pain in the world go away. Including that hate, that ugly malevolence in you.
Ugly malevolence?
Her only reason for living, her revenge, has lost its justification, leaving all of Velvet's pain and hatred with nowhere to go, except blindly lashing out at those perceived as having hurt her. It's high-key a miracle she bounces back as well as she does. Again, thanks to Fee dragging her for filth, while also emphasizing how much she means to him. At last, Velvet breaks down, admitting the pain that has fueled her desire for vengeance. It comes from the unfathomable pain in being betrayed by those you loved most. But now, fully facing the reality of her old life, the delusion she had settled into long before Artorius did what he did, she's able to start rebuilding, finding a new reason for revenge.
I tried to abandon my memories of Arthur and Laphicet, to cut myself off from it all, and end this tragedy. It's what they would have wanted, but that's exactly why I can't forgive them. Not Artorius, not Innominat. I know my heart is ugly and full of contradictions, but those days we spent together in familial warmth, they're proof that all of us, were truly alive. That's why, no matter how hard, no matter how sad it gets, I will take my vengeance to the very end.
It's so wonderful seeing Velvet begin to show small glimmers of joy and kindness after this incident, which call back to the optimistic girl she used to be. She's still deeply scarred and headed for tragedy. She's still the deeply flawed, selfish person that she'd already known herself to be. But she is one that acknowledges her shortcomings and fully embraces the mess that has become her life. For all of this, I can't help but adore Velvet. The game doesn't try and make her into this heroic, flawless underdog protagonist who was wronged. I mean, yeah, she was wronged, but she was just an ordinary person trying to enjoy her life. I doubt most people in her shoes would have fared much differently. Velvet doesn't have to be this upstanding pinnacle of justice and heroism to deserve our empathy. She doesn't even have to be all that likable. She just has to be unapologetically human, or demonic in her case. No, to me, it's the way that the game leans into her messiness, embraces her faults, calls them out, and has her address them that makes Velvet into a character I find deeply compelling and deeply relatable, at least in the strong emotionality of her character. And while her actions most definitely scarred the world and paved the way for chaos, she isn't the single entity responsible for that. And I'm very much glad history didn't turn her into that. Lord knows we did that too much to women we hate in the real world. Don't mind me, I'm just gonna go ahead and glare at Zisteria the Cross. No particular reason. I will say, however, while it wasn't necessarily her goal to save the world, I will thank her for doing so anyway. I would much rather live in the broken, chaotic world that follows her actions than the soulless, lifeless husk that Artorius was trying to force humanity into. Given this cast tends towards the edgy, it's only natural that we would need a pillar of absolute innocent sunshine to balance it out. Initially, Laphicet's enslavement by Teresa reinforces the oppression of Malachim under the Abbey, and their belief of Malachim being tools rather than people. It personalizes the issue and allows insight into the Malachim's plight. Once he is freed from suppression, Fee's curiosity for the world not only characterizes him outside of being just adorable, but also is an extension of his love for his friends, the people who helped free him.
Do you know why the needle points north? Who figured out how to make it work? I thought that if I had one of these, maybe I could go on adventures.
He wants to know why people are the way that they are, why the world works the way it does, and in realizing how broken the world is, decides to try and find a way to make it a fairer, happier place for all. It's his way of expressing the love that he has for humanity, malevolence included.
I want people to have another chance! A chance for them to right the wrongs born of their fallible spirits! To give those who dream of flying the time they need to rest their wings! So that in their strength, their weakness, their cruelty, their kindness, these imperfect humans will one day stretch their wings toward the horizon.
Much of this game has to do with identity. What makes you who you are? How do you wish to live your life? And what will you do if something stands in your way? Fee gets to spend the game trying to figure out who he is, building himself an identity that is informed by everyone around him, and even having to speak up when people he loves unintentionally begin deciding who they believe him to be. Velvet is the one guilty of this, understandably so, given the family resemblance and trauma. She doesn't mean to name him Laphicet, but in a moment of crisis, she experiences Fee's peril as a recurrence of Laphie's death, hence the instinctive yell. And then she kinda has to stick with it when Fee asks what a Laphicet is. Awkward. Still, when Velvet is determined to avenge Laphie above all else, she does want Fee to be his own person and live his own life. You can see little glimmers of Fee's confidence growing here. My favorite instances being when he stands up to Velvet when she lashes out. Fee is pretty much the only person who can get away with straight up backtalk to Velvet without losing a limb. As for Fee's other mom, Eleanor, yes, I had to. Fee's trust and sincerity towards her helps to integrate her into the group and to help undo the brainwashing that the Abbey has put her through. In a way, Fee's friendship acts as a vector through which Eleanor is encouraged to get off her high horse and try to understand the world as it is, rather than pass moral judgment upon it as she normally would. That's not to say Fee is a glorified therapist. In fact, Eleanor helps Fee to become his own person as well, through both their friendship and her calling Velvet out for her possessiveness and projection. Seriously, seeing Fee and Eleanor have so much fun fishing brings me so much joy. Fee also looks up to Eizen as a sort of big brother figure, which does make sense given they're the two Malachim of the party, and Eizen's wealth of knowledge, both useful and useless, pairs well with Fee's desire to know literally everything about the world.
There's nothing I hate more than someone else trying to control the direction of my life. My wheel is mine to hold. If I'm not the one steering the ship, then I'm not truly alive.
The one steering.
At times, Eizen's bluntness can catch Fee off guard, especially early on.
Eizen, I'm sorry about earlier.
The fight, you mean? Don't worry about it. I'll hate you until I'm in the grave, though. A jest.
But eventually, Fee takes Eizen's words about being the one to steer the direction of your own life to heart. So much so that when Eizen tries to get in his way when saving Velvet, Fee stands up to him.
Let me go! I have to save her!
That ain't gonna happen, kid. Don't forget you're my ticket out of here, too.
I'm not your tool! Try to stop me and I'll take you down! Even you, Eizen!
What a little icon. Rokurou and Magilou, meanwhile, are like the aunt and uncle to Laphicet. Not together, since, you know, Rokurou is the fun gay uncle who helps Fee get out of his shell and lightens the mood whenever the others start scaring Fee earlier in the game. And like Velvet, Rokurou is a way to show how Fee comes to see even demons as friends, as people worthy of love, belonging, and respect, even if sometimes they might try to kill him.
Looks like my sins run too deep to fix.
That's fine. It's a part of who you are, Rokurou.
You're still a softie, aren't you?
And Magilou, you know, aside from being the kooky aunt who's always drunk at family gatherings, Fee can't really put what he's learned from her into words.
And Magilou provided lots of surprises and laughs. And Bienfu didn't do much. Yeah!
But I've always seen Fee's optimism as not only the antithesis to Magilou's deep pessimism and cynicism, but the answer. Fee won't allow his hopes for a better world to be dashed by cruel realities. That's not to say Magilou is weak or wrong for being jaded, as Fee doesn't pass judgment on her. In fact, he continues to try and support her emotionally as a friend, even as Magilou continually makes nihilistic quips. Fee's entire journey is the opposite of Artorius, where the shepherd lost faith in humanity after all of his suffering and tragedies. Fee embraces their messiness and contradictions. He loves humans for all of their flaws, not just in spite of them. And his dream for a better future faces the reality of malevolence head-on instead of trying to deny or eradicate it. With the Silver Flame, Fee is able to give people another chance after becoming demons. Though humans will always carry malevolence and dragons still can't be saved, The flames of purification serve as a way to strive for a better world without losing what makes humans human. And interestingly, when he is referred to as Mautellus in Zestiria, he is said to embody the void and wield both light and darkness. You know, it kind of drives home the whole embracing humans' flaws and all thing, and I just think that's neat. If I'm gonna be real, while I do love Rokurou, he is my least favorite member of the main cast. Though maybe that's not saying much, since that's like me trying to say who my least favorite member of the Winx Club is. Like, yeah, sure, there technically has to be one, but if you say anything bad about her, I will find you. Initially, outside of the conflict with Shigure, Rokurou does seem the least connected to the plot. However, much like Leia in Zilia, Rokurou is incredibly important thematically. As one of our 2 demons in the main cast, Rokurou is a prime example of a demon who still maintains his sense of self and humanity. His inhibitions may be lowered, and he may enjoy bloodshed, but he's still an all-around chill, level-headed guy.
What did that exorcist do?
What happened to you?
Ironically, out of everybody besides Eleanor, Rokurou would have the easiest time passing for an ordinary person without any major issues. He's usually the one keeping things lighthearted, which is vital when you've got people like Velvet and Eizen around.
I will protect you, Madam Eleanor. Face me now, demon.
Right? Was that laughter?
I'm sorry.
Why apologize? Bienfu is funny, right?
Right.
Then if you want to laugh, laugh!
He's sort of like the cool big brother of the group. His relationship with Fi is adorable! Major big brother energy there, with Rokurou acting a lot more silly and goofy to help Fi come out of his shell and feel better whenever Velvet starts being extra grouchy, which is all the time. His bromance with Eizen, where they're always challenging each other for funsies, is so adorable, especially given you would never expect a demon and a Moloch to get along so well.
You're both adults, so why not a drinking contest?
That's it. If we have a drinking contest, we'll be able to compete on an even playing field.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. I'll have the crew bring out the drinks.
Well, that's one way of resolving it, I suppose.
Whatever gets it done. I'm not gonna complain.
If you guys are gonna have a drinking contest, you're gonna need some tasty snacks to go with all that alcohol, right?
Definitely. Let's go out and fish us some snacks.
Yeah, let's take out the little boat. We can even pick up where we left off our fishing competition.
Eleanor fucking hates him at first, yet Rokurou remains unbothered by it.
I didn't want anyone else to have to feel the way I did. And so I became an exorcist in order to destroy demons. So you can keep your pity.
Gotcha. I will then.
He's still kind and courteous towards her, though he's not going out of his way to change her perspective. He just doesn't really care all that much. Not in the way of Magilou's apathy, but more in a live and let live kind of way. And while Rokurou wants his brother dead, not all of it is a need for hate and vengeance. In the Rangetsu clan, battle is basically a love language. It is a pure expression of passion and devotion. One that seems deeply strange and even monstrous to some, but one that makes perfect sense to them. It's born of a logic all their own.
My mother slew my grandfather to take the name Shigure, and my brother did the same to her. When we fought, when we both really fought, I got this sharp, vivid feeling that pierced straight to my core. When we were both throwing ourselves wholly into the battle, we wanted to keep on fighting forever, like an unquenchable thirst. That's a feeling we only got from each other.
Ultimately, Rokurou is a good noodle in my book, solidified by him protecting humans and demons in the epilogue. Maybe he just did it for the thrill of battle, but even so, I still salute him. I'm just bitter he didn't get to be an extra boss in Zestiria. Like, imagine with me, after learning about venomization, Rokurou spends centuries battling other demons and siphoning their power, eventually becoming a nearly unrecognizable beast that Saray and the others would have to slay, finally giving Rokurou rest. I doubt he'd mind, given it's an accepted fact in the Rangetsu clan that the best way to go is to fall in battle to a worthy foe. Though I did imagine Rokurou doing this and eventually becoming a Lord of Calamity. And now that I think about it, I don't think he'd be one for titles. He'd probably just be like, nah, sounds like too much work. I know in supplemental material, they mention an eventual Lord of Calamity that Eizen became a dragon to gobble up a couple hundred years before Zestiria, and the thought of Eizen having to do that to his old best friend / pseudo-boyfriend hurts. Hurts a lot. And I want that content right now. And speaking of Eizen, ah yes, my cursed husband who likes to babble about nothing. In terms of advancing the plot and exposition, Eizen's purpose is twofold: dispense knowledge about the world to the other Nimrods, and to provide the Von Eltia as our means of transportation. Given he's far older than the others as a Moloch and a member of the Ifreed's pirates crew, he's able to share information about the places we visit and people we encounter that the rest of the cast might not be aware of. Superficially, he shares Velvet's edginess, though his is more of a quiet broodiness. And to be fair, that seems like a valid response to being born a bad luck charm. Eizen is a Reaper, a specific type of Moloch whose blessing results in tragedy and misfortune for himself and those around him. In Zestiria, Reapers are known as Angels of Death, the main two being Dezel and Simone, but Berseria does a far better job explaining what their fate actually entails and exploring such a tragic existence. Though Eizen does his best to live in defiance of his curse, its shadow still shapes him. His hatred for being told who he must be and what role he must perform isn't just towards the Abbey, but towards his curse, because it has made it nigh impossible for him to actually have a functioning relationship with his little sister, Edna.
If you're really that worried, why don't you go see her? Have you not done that since you left?
I did go back once, a long time ago. But as soon as I showed up, a crowd started to gather. Overcome by malevolence, they turned into demons and attacked my sister then and there.
Do you think it's your fault that happened?
What do you think? I'd moved us to a safe place, low in malevolence and high up a rugged mountainside.
So much for coincidence.
I haven't gone back to see her since.
Initially, Eizen doesn't even want to admit that he has a sister, and it takes a long time for him to let his guard down and talk about her. And when he does, it's so precious.
If she was sad, I'd feel sad. And if I was happy, she'd be happy too. She can be abrasive, but when she smiles, it's like nothing else. I swore to myself that whatever happened, I would protect her. I made a pendant from a stone on that sacred mountain and gave it to her as a lucky charm. Of course, she just wears it as a necklace.
And your pendant? Did she give that to you?
She had the same idea I had. She made the pendant herself and gave it to me as a good luck charm. Without either of us having mentioned a word of it beforehand, we each gave each other pendants in the same shape on the very same day. That's when I really knew that what I had felt all along was true. We were brother and sister.
You can really feel the love and adoration he has for her, which makes it hurt worse when he reveals all the ways his curse has ruined family reunions. At times, it's played for laughs, and it usually has me in stitches. Like the curse being so goddamn petty, it refuses to even let Eizen land his coin on heads.
Here I go.
You gotta be kidding me. Reaper's curse or not, does it really have to go this far over a damn coin?
It's fine, really. I had a feeling it'd turn out like this.
Well, I sure didn't.
But knowing the fate he's in store for in Zestiria, it hurts. It hurts a lot. Even more so by the end of the game, hearing how Eizen has accepted his inevitable doom.
All that malevolence. It's going to take its toll on you, too.
Yeah, I can already feel it starting. It won't be long before I wind up like her. I'd rather end up a dragon than have this curse hijack my ship and my life anymore.
But maybe there's also some peace in that. I mean, all life ends, so in a way, how is this any different? And I do also respect Eizen being able to joke about his terrible, sad, no good fate. That feels very relatable. Playing Zestiria first, while I did enjoy Edna's character, she felt incredibly disconnected from the story. And I didn't really give a shit about her relationship to Eizen whatsoever because we never got to know who Eizen was before he became a dragon. Not just a lack of flashbacks, but a lack of any stories Edna could have told us about him, aside from tidbits about how Eizen named her. But in Berseria, by virtue of Eizen being part of our group, we do actually get to connect with him, which in turn winds up strengthening Zestiria. Another reason why Zestiria works better there is an epilogue to Berseria rather than its own story or the first to be played. The curse isn't all of Eizen though. In fact, it's the glimmers of his underlying sweetness and dorkiness that make him endearing and make you wonder about what he could have been like without the burden of being a Reaper, like all his quirky little habits the others pick up on.
Now that you mention it, he does have a tendency to ramble on about various topics.
And it's not just the items he collects.
There's more to it?
Every weekend, he eats curry for dinner, and every time we go into port, he docks at the 3rd bollard.
Come to think of it, I heard the galley crew complaining that he always needs his pasta cooked exactly the right way.
And when he needs a new outfit, he always goes to the same tailor and returns with identical clothes and boots. It all has to be exactly the same size and in exactly the same color. Turtle says he's very nitpicky.
Sounds like he's not so much picky as he is a pain in the ass.
But I do see a different side of him now. I thought pirates were all rough and filthy, but it seems they can be quite meticulous.
Not much of a reassessment.
Or his endless dissertations about the history of bathing, or even his desire to have a secret fortress with underground tunnels on an island.
What we really need are some secret underground tunnels. If things get too hairy here, we'll need an underground escape route. We can put in hidden doors, and even some fake ones to trick the enemy too.
We have 2 separate docks. That's good enough.
No enemy is going to attack without taking both docks into consideration. That's why we need to build underground tunnels before anything else.
But we're on an island. You know, surrounded by water. Where would these tunnels even lead to?
Isn't it obvious? We'll dig underneath the sea to another uninhabited island nearby.
But there are no other islands nearby.
If it means getting my tunnels, I'll build an island too.
My boy absolutely has the tism, and as a bitch who most definitely never got diagnosed as neurodivergent, private healthcare is a bitch, help us, I have no choice but to stan. Eizen just has so much love for the world and for learning, and I wonder if a lot of it has to do with the fact that he has to be so careful in interacting with it because of his curse. It's like learning to observe and appreciate from afar, lest your touch destroy what you so admire. Oh, especially love his bromance with Rokurou, and the way that Eleanor winds up accidentally destroying his headcanons.
They started by stacking giant stone blocks in the shallows, creating an enclosed space. Then they drained the water and expanded the enclosure. Once they had done that enough times and secured enough dry space, they were able to dig into the sea floor.
Additionally, current research suggests the site of this temple once sat on the seacoast.
What? Are you saying I'm wrong?
No, I'm only reporting what I've read in academic journals. When the Empyreans began their slumber, the land shifted, and this temple was swallowed by the sea. Scholars were able to prove that the sand and the heavy stones formed an airtight seal around the structure. Later, people carved an undersea tunnel to connect to the temple, bringing it to its current state. The problem with the stone enclosure theory is that each time you expand the enclosure, the innermost stones have to be carried out. Once that was pointed out as being too inefficient, alternate theories were developed. The revised edition has a number of competing theories. I highly recommend reading it.
I will then.
So, wait, was that a complete rebuttal of Eizen's explanation?
That was not my intention.
It's okay. Archaeology is a continuous process of asking new questions and making new discoveries. Prevailing theories change all the time.
She means no ill will at all, and Eizen tries to be a good sport when it happens, but you can just see his soul shrivel up at the realization he's been beaten at his own game. Or perhaps he was never even a player. Not Eleanor being an accidental Azula. Ultimately, Eizen's character is about defying the role given to you, be it by society or by fate itself. Maybe you won't be able to change the outcome, but there is still beauty in trying to carve your own way and create your own identity. Low-key, I just realized writing the script how Mila Maxwell coded this is, and this is just confirming how much I love this man. High-key, Magilou is second favorite of the cast. I love everything she does. I just love her so much. This trope of being this absurd, over-the-top character who is dead inside and who conceals her nihilism born of all the ways that the world has punished her for just wanting to be loved and belong literally anywhere.
Long ago, I was Magilanica Loom Maven, Melchior's foster daughter, and before I was cast out, his disciple.
The lost legate.
So even after 10 years, My name still lives on. The relationship between Melchior and I was like that between Velvet and Artorius. The debts owed, and the grudges held.
We all are Magilou. Magilou is similar to Eizen in her knowledge of the world, though she is rarely going to tell you what's going on. She's just here for chaos and fireworks.
And what exactly is this malevolence?
Impure emotions beyond what reason can suppress. Think of it as the sin buried in men's souls.
So you knew.
I'm a witch.
A lot of times she'll just try to incite conflicts between the other characters or make them flustered, all for the sake of her amusement. And while I wouldn't say that she sees them all as friends, there is a genuine curiosity for how their stories will go.
Those people, they're different from us. Despite the pain, the anguish, they embrace the life they've been given. They live, undaunted by the ugliness of the world!
So you're doing this all for them? Is that what this is?
Not even close. They aggravate me to my wit's end. Like stabs in the chest, over and over and over. And that's exactly why I intend to see how all of this ends. I won't be satisfied until I do.
A lot of her peculiar animosity, I would argue, is born from envy. Not just for the innocence of characters like Eleanor or Laphicet, but for Velvet's refusal to give up in the face of suffering.
Hey, Velvet. Tell me, what does it feel like to hate? Does it torment you? Is it agony? Does the searing fire of your hatred empower you to feel? Does it give your life meaning where there was none?
If anything, Magilou and Velvet are sort of like dark mirror twins. One leaned into sincerely pursuing revenge at all costs, and the other just kind of gave up on the idea of anything meaning anything. And that's not particularly shocking learning about her past. Being abandoned as a child by her parents for her resonance, being abused and exploited by a circus for her abilities, and then being taken in and later cast out by her foster father Melchior because she just couldn't live up to his impossible standards.
Magilou's real name is Magilonica, isn't it? Yes, it is. She's always been so distant.
Distant? What makes you say that?
She's always had strong resonance and was able to see us Malachim from the day she was born.
But her family thought her powers were creepy, and they abandoned her while she was still just an infant.
That's terrible. So she got picked up by that crooked troupe that put her in their freak show.
Yeah, that was when she caught me. When I got caught up in her life.
It's hard to imagine how painful it must have been. A little girl forced to the stage, made a source of amusement and revulsion and hate. You can see why she'd want someone on her side. Even if that someone was Bienfu.
Hey!
But she managed to get away, right? After the accident?
Well, that accident was set up by Lord Melchior.
What?
Is it so hard to believe? Melchior was looking for someone he could shape into becoming his worthy successor, so he made sure she survived the wreck.
He probably justified it as saving the world.
Tell me, Grimoire, what's your connection with Melchior?
I don't really have one. I knew the former head of the Exorcist a little, but I stayed out of his way. He never talked about personal matters. At least not while he was sober.
As I recall, Magilou trained under Melchior and rose as far up the ranks as Legate.
That's right! She worked really, really hard to get there, too.
Magilonica Lou Maven. When Melchior adopted her and gave her his last name, that was the first time she really felt that she had a home. When she lost that name, she was devastated.
She failed Lord Melchior's last test, and he just discarded her like an unwanted toy.
She was an empty shell of a person when Bienfu brought her to me. Magilou stayed with me for a little while, but then one day she left without warning. As for what happened next, well, you probably know better than I do.
Yeah, I guess we do.
I'd ask you to look after her, but I know how that would go.
It'd have to be a pretty cold day in hell.
I'm sorry I talked about your past behind your back. It wasn't my place to say.
It doesn't bother me. You were talking about Magilonica, and Magilonica might as well be dead.
But while we're on the subject, may I ask just one question? It wasn't failing to hold up against Melchior's art that broke your spirit, was it? It was when you realized that he no longer considered you his daughter.
Who can say? I've left my life as Magilonica behind me. I'm not her anymore. I'm the evil witch Magilou who fights alongside the Lord of Calamity!
Well, wherever you go, Miss Magilou, I'll follow you as long as I live!
Well now, Bienfu, you think you can get away with talking about me behind my back?
Huh? Why do you only care that I did it? What about the others?
Yours is not to question.
How could I forget how mean you are?
I'm glad you finally found a place where you can belong.
At each turn, Magilou has been subject to the worst mankind has to offer. And in the one place she thought she had found love and acceptance, she in the end realized that none of it was real. I'd imagine she cared for Melchior as a father quite deeply, which made his betrayal hurt even worse. Part of me wonders if that love itself is the reason why she failed to live up to Melchior's expectations. Perhaps he wanted her to be as cold-hearted as he is.
I'm not sure what Melchior is really capable of. What kind of man is he?
To put it short, he's the Exorcist's shadow.
Their shadow?
They're supposed to be free of malevolence, but they're only human, and so are those who they want to save. But sincerity and conviction alone won't save the world. To remain free of malevolence, they need someone to do their dirty work. A shadow.
I see. And that's Melchior's job.
During all my time at the Abbey, I was never aware of what he was really doing.
So, why hasn't he succumbed to malevolence?
Because his belief in the Exorcists as the saviors of the world is pure and unyielding. It is a mountain of ice that will neither boil, nor melt, nor break. I know the depths of his frozen heart all too well.
And when you're that hurt, irony and apathy make for fantastic coping mechanisms. Well, they're very self-destructive, but they are effective at numbing you from any immediate pain. Most of these characters are finding ways to deal with the pain of the trauma they've experienced just through the hell that is living. And I find it interesting how even when a character like Magilou is well aware of that, able to read people and their tendencies like a book, it doesn't make dealing with it any easier. And despite Magilou's apathy, she still holds great contempt towards the Abbey's worldview.
I can think of nothing more boring than your ideal world.
It is a world of purity.
A garden of fake flowers, good for show and nothing else.
It's a world of order built on righteous ideals.
Those ideals are twisted! Can a flower hold beauty if it does not wilt? Can a wolf be satisfied eating grass? The thought makes me rich, as do those who wish for it, and those content to live in shackles! Let the biting bugs go ahead and eat what they want to eat. Let the weeds grow where they want to grow! Some may look down on them and scoff at their foolishness, but their unwavering wills are proof that they're alive! If that's what you call evil, then I will live and die with evil as my mantra!
It's essentially what made her unworthy of love in Melchior's eyes. Her calling out Melchior's ideal world towards the end of the game is one of my favorite scenes, not just in this game, but in anything, because it lays bare how a world without suffering just is not worth living in. At the end of the game, Magilou is seen scribbling notes down in the shadows, and this is because in Zestiria, she and her descendants are now storytellers of time. All these storytellers bear Melchior's surname Maven, having no individual names of their own. We're never told explicitly why, just one vague line about it being a punishment for something Magilou did. I'm assuming it's Magilou because, hello, and also I'm assuming it's, you know, sealing Innominat away and fucking up the world. And I mean, it's fitting at least. She did bear witness to Velvet's journey of vengeance, after all. I do hope she found moments of joy here or there. At first glance, being strictly an observer of history rather than participant does seem quite sad. You don't really get to chart your own way or make your own impact. But perhaps there are still moments of beauty worth enjoying, even if you're the only one to see them, and you didn't have a hand in shaping them. And yes, I am still convinced that grave that Aksha stands watch over in Zestiria is Magilou's. You cannot tell me that Bienfu did not get her into poetry.
Bienfu likes to write poems? I'll read you my favorite one. If there is something unimportant happening to the east, I'm made to go there and back. If there is something unimportant happening to the west, I'm made to go there and back. I can never rest nor be at peace. Every day my life is a living hell. That's heavy stuff.
Isn't it? That's what makes it so good for pressing flowers. It's so wonderfully oppressively heavy.
Magilou, your face has gone all sinister looking.
And now, our resident goody-goody. In any other Tales game, Eleanor would probably be our main protagonist. She's good-hearted, she's kind, she genuinely wants to help people, and those are all good things, until you realize that she also has a very simplistic black and white worldview and blind faith in authority, unsurprisingly fueled by childhood trauma, our favorite on this channel. Many people want to perceive themselves as good. We are taught that we should strive to be as moral and upstanding as possible, but what that looks like will always be shaped by external powers and systems, which 9 times out of 10 are doing so to sustain themselves, not actually to help people. In fact, a lot of times hurting people might be what the system needs to survive.
Oscar! What is the Abbey doing? Please tell me, I have to know!
The less you know, the better.
I killed her mother, and then the poor girl, she...
So she must have devoured the demon. But don't let that trouble you. The demon was a necessary sacrifice to bring an end to this world's pain and suffering.
That wasn't just some demon! She was a mother! She was all this girl had!
Eleanor is the representation of what it looks like to truly strive for justice, to want to do the right thing, even when you realize that everything you have believed in was all a lie that's actually built upon injustice. Where most would simply double down and turn a blind eye, Eleanor does all she can to face these contradictions and blind spots head on, and put in the work to become a better, stronger person.
That Eleanor, I swear she feels way more responsibility for everything than she needs to. You think we need to worry? What if she pushes too far and erupts with malevolence?
Malevolence is born out of many things. A prideful ego, the self-righteousness that turns a blind eye to one's inner contradictions. Eleanor's different. She's mindful of her ego and strives to confront her inconsistencies of character.
She has a purity of heart that won't be tainted by the emotions that create malevolence. No other quality is as essential for an exorcist.
So she's probably okay?
For now, at least. But human hearts can be fickle things.
For most exorcists, purity is a construct of the Abbey's teachings. But Eleanor, she's the real deal.
Initially an antagonist, Eleanor immediately serves as a rival to Velvet. Even after joining the group, against her will, it takes a long time for her to let her guard down and actually see the others as people.
She may be a Therian now, but deep down, she's still a lonely little girl. That's something I've come to realize in traveling with you all. Wretched demons and Therians, even the Malakim who I'd only thought of as tools. They all live and think as humanly as the rest of us. I was so clueless. I didn't know what demon blight really was, nor what the Abbey was doing. Through it all, I knew nothing beyond blind belief in whatever I was taught.
Ignorance is bliss, as they say.
The coward's path is not that of an exorcist. They may say, I didn't know anything, so I can't be blamed. I can't live like that.
She's never quite friends with them, but she does seem to develop genuine respect for them.
This is our way of saying we trust you.
Yeah. You horrible ingrate! See? Stab in the chest, that's all you give me.
Seeing her go from hating Rokurou for being a demon on principle to eventually wanting to go out for ice cream with him, oh, it gets me. It gets me every time. I cry.
Now I'm suddenly craving a cup of Yozakura Anmitsu.
Yozakura Anmitsu?
Cherry blossom flavored sweet bean paste, black sesame ice cream, and fruit. It was Shigure's favorite.
That's kind of hard to picture, but I'd like to try it.
Let's settle then. When this is all over, I'll take you out for some.
I look forward to that.
Then make sure you come back alive, alright?
You too, Rokurou. Yozakura Anmitsu. I won't forget.
The story is quite hard on Eleanor because at each turn, her worldview is systematically challenged and destroyed. The revelation of the Abbey harboring demons, to turning innocent people into demons for their goals, to the realization that some demons still maintain their humanity. Eleanor joined the Abbey to avenge her mother and her village and to protect people from demons, only to realize the world is more complex than she believed it to be. And so she reforms her purpose in accordance with this information. Again, very Mila Maxwell coded. She still wants to help people, but now that means standing against the Abbey's cruelty and embracing humanity where they seek to erase it.
Why did you betray us, Eleanor?
My desire to save humanity has not changed. I have simply found a path different from the Abby's.
You know, it's actually kind of wild how often being a genuinely good person really puts you in the crosshairs against the people with the power. I like to imagine that after the game ends, Eleanor becomes the new shepherd, because if anybody deserves that mantle, it's her. She and Saray would have been goddamn besties. No one tells Saray that Malakim were slaves, he'll probably cry himself to sleep. If Velvet is an anti-hero whomst I stan, then Artorius is one of my favorite anti-villains in media. They say that the best villains view themselves as the heroes of their own story, and in Artorius' case, he is a most tragic hero. He'd probably be the hero of any other Tales game, made funnier by him and Alphen sharing a voice.
Why did you set the Danans here free when you took over? The person I was supposed to meet is late. I don't think I'll be home tonight.
Back when he was a little nerd, Artorius studied under the late Claudin, who served as the shepherd king who founded Midgand. Claudin exited the public eye in his old age, taking an oath to never kill in order to extend his life. And Claudin broke this oath to save Artorius' life, resulting in his death, for which Artorius blamed himself and went into exile. Artorius then wandered the land, trapped in a cycle of grief and self-hatred. He idolized Claudin, believing in his ideals of logic and reason, and viewing himself as incapable of living up to them, resulting in Claudin's death. It wasn't until his chance meeting with Celica that Artorius found a new reason to live. Celica's insistence on the inherent dignity of life, that all people deserve to live a happy, fulfilled, connected life with no need to justify themselves, was exactly what Artorius needed.
I can feel it. Your body is shouting, I want to live.
I'm a disgrace. I don't deserve to live.
Is life something you have to earn? To deserve?
Here he went by the simpler name Arthur, falling in love with Celica and becoming part of the Crow family. Here he was freed from the burdens and expectations he had suffered from as Artorius. It seemed this simpler life was Arthur's happy ending. But of course, storytelling demands that happiness be ripped away in a most horrifying manner. I cry every time I watch the flashbacks of Celica's death, because this is the loss that sets everyone adrift and sets the rest of the story in motion.
It's too late! Take Velvet and Laphicet and run!
I can't do that! I want to have my life with you! With our child!
Arthur!
Celica!
Celica truly was the heart of the family, and with her sacrificing herself to save Arthur, it leads to a slow, tragic rot. This isn't the first loss that Arthur has experienced, but I think that's what makes it worse. Arthur was ready to become a father with Celica, and probably expected to spend the rest of his life enjoying a quiet life here. To have that stolen from him, I am not surprised he went back to being Artorius, quietly determined to resurrect Innominat. Seeing Celica and his unborn child be reborn as Malakim, with Celica specifically being an entirely different person, probably just threw salt in the wound of his loss. He became a numb, hollow shell of his old self. I do believe he still cared about Velvet and Laphicet, but not enough to stop him from what he was inevitably going to do. And I honestly appreciate that in his final moments, he gets to be honest about the resentment he harbored towards them.
It was always there, in the back of my mind. If only it hadn't been Celica and my son who were killed that day. If only it had been you two instead.
I thought the same thing. So many times. If it had been us, then I know you would have fought to save the world for us.
It's irrational and deeply unfair, and likely something that Velvet and Laphicet blame themselves for as well, but it's still a very real feeling that needs to be addressed. Leaving it in the shadows just allows it to fester until it completely takes over. As we can see, that's literally the plot of the game. At this point, Artorius doesn't really care about his own happiness anymore. He truly believes in freeing the world from malevolence, and thus freeing it from the demons that killed both Claudin and Celica. And likely, he views his own emotions as a detriment. He gives that he's a believer in foreboding joy. You know that feeling where everything is going well in your life, and you're just so content and happy and at peace, and then for a moment you go, oh shit, what if something terrible ruined everything and left me in complete disarray and heartbreak? Artorius has gone through that, so to him, I would not be surprised if he genuinely has come to believe that people would be better off without happiness. There's nothing to lose then. And what really kills me is his lack of faith in humanity. Claudin's ideals were filled with a love for humanity, even if he believed parts of their nature had to be suppressed or overcome in order to achieve peace. Melchior clearly felt differently, more focused on the darker, insidious parts of the human heart, which honestly feels like a natural escalation of that ideology.
Just what do you think humans are?
The wellspring of all malevolence. Thus must emotion be quelled, and reason bring order to the world, until the day that humanity can repent and overcome their sins. I get that right?
You did. Innominat was awakened for that very purpose.
And he definitely was ready to swoop in on the tragedy of Celica's death to plant the same doubt in Artorius. Velvet mentions how her family are considered outsiders by the people of Abal since her parents immigrated to the village rather than being born there.
The people of this village offered you and your beloved family up to the demon brigands, a sacrifice, so that they could escape and hide.
Velvet's family was probably the furthest outside the village circle that night.
That's pure selfishness.
Humans are selfish creatures. You should be aware of that by now. That's why you said what you said just now, even if you didn't know it. Artorius' quest to change the world, not Artorius' quest to save humanity. I mean no disrespect. It's just an observation.
This is apparently why Celica was being besieged by demons during the first Scarlet Night, which were seen by the townspeople as brigands. The crows were essentially sold out to save the rest of the village. I'm not sure on the details of that, but what matters is that it fuels Arthur's disdain for the people, that they would sacrifice others, innocents, to protect themselves. It's something I've noticed at the core of a lot of conservative thought, that people are inherently selfish and evil and wicked and have to suppress their natures in order to uphold the social order, and even have to be threatened and outright oppressed into doing so. That their greed cannot be quenched and thus must be used to keep society running. That they cannot be given help lest they exploit those systems and refuse to be productive. That crime is not the result of people's needs not being met, but rather an inherent need of people to do harm to one another. It's honestly such a depressing way of looking at the world, because rather than trying to make the world better, it results in a desire to make a crueler dog-eat-dog world, and to view all people with suspicion, and thus scorn connection and community. It's such an anti-human way to live, which I think really sums up Artorius' school of thought. His ultimate goal is to strip humanity of humanity, because to him, humanity is inherently messy and flawed, which, I mean, it is, but rather than embrace that messiness, accept the pains of life and learn to live with them, he would rather throw away the good to get rid of the bad.
A man with the power to change the world turned his back on the potential of humanity. That may be the biggest tragedy of that night.
The savior of the world lost all hope in its people.
While I abhor Artorius' actions, I do still sympathize with his pain. I feel for him, but it's also that sympathy that leads me to despise the world he wants to create and loathe what he's come to stand for. Because really, what the Abbey is under his guide is a death cult. And while his ending is quite sad, part of me hopes he found a little bit of peace in Velvet stopping him from what he was about to do. I don't know, it's making me think of what I said with Eizen earlier, knowing he was going to end up a dragon and die. That even if you do meet a tragic fate, at least there are beautiful moments of living along the way there that make it all worth it. I don't know, it's... that wasn't in the script. This is just me going off the top of my head recording. Laphicet is another tragic villain. His desire to see the world, to learn about the lands beyond the seas past his tiny village, is born of his knowledge that he will never even get to grow up. Something that everyone else takes for granted, cruelly placed outside of his reach.
This place never changes, does it?
It does too change. The seasons, the wind, the weather. Change one and the sea's totally different. And the same goes for what lies across the sea.
Across the sea? Sometimes I just don't know what you're talking about.
If we miss this Scarlet Night, the next won't be for another 3 years. By then, I won't be alive.
Laphicet, why would you say such a thing?
The 12-year sickness. That's the name of my disease.
So you know.
The 12-year sickness?
An incurable disease. Every 12 days, you break out in a fever. Each fever is just a bit worse than the one before it. And when you turn 12, you die.
My little brother had it too. He knew it. That's why he asked Artorius to.
What else could he do? He had no hope against that disease.
That's probably true. But that doesn't exactly help dull my sorrow. The opposite, actually.
It's very easy to both see and understand the resentment that Laphicet had for pretty much everything. Again, he loves Velvet, but any kid is going to throw tantrums about being babied, regardless of how well-intentioned their caretaker might be or how mature they themselves try to be. Especially because it just reminds Laphicet of the fact that this is all his life is going to be. So knowing he's going to die, I can't say I'm surprised that he offers himself up as a sacrifice to help revive Innominat. He's the one that suggested to Artorius, with Artorius initially pushing back at the idea. But to Laphicet, if he's gonna die, he believes he might as well go out trying to make the world a better place for Velvet and everyone else.
I'll make a new world. A world where my sister can be happy.
Of course, he and Artorius keep their mouths shut about this around Velvet, knowing she'd oppose it thoroughly, even if they were to let her in on the whole 12-year sickness thing, because, you know, Velvet just can't turn her irrational emotions off. But it's hard for me to feel as angry at Laphicet here, because he clearly doesn't know about Artorius' plans for Velvet after his death. That Artorius would knowingly use Velvet's inevitable fury to turn her into a Therian guinea pig. That's the bit I find deeply insidious and unforgivable. But as Innominat, it is very disturbing how much Laphicet's personality changes. He eagerly takes on this persona of this detached, holier-than-thou god, dismissing Velvet as a monster who must be purged.
That farce is the true face of my sister. She hates, resents, devours, and kills. She tramples people, cities, everything, living only by her emotions. What an ugly, tainted soul. I had hoped that you could live in a world without pain and sadness. But you're a monster now. You don't belong there.
He still clearly is Laphicet on some level, retaining his memory and personality traits when pushed to emotional extremes.
To tell you the truth, I was terrified of dying. It was so dark.
But this unemotional air he puts on for most of the time makes him one of the most frightening villains I've seen. He kind of feels like an AI imposter designed to rattle Velvet's nerve, but it is him, which makes it feel even worse. Though I do love that in the end, when he's pushed to his extremes, his old bratty self comes through.
I endured it all, even though I was scared, even though it hurt. I drank that gross medicine. I stopped myself from doing what I wanted to do, eating what I wanted to eat. I tried so hard. Why won't you give me this? I hate you! I hate you, Velvet!
Whether he's reincarnated as a god or even in life, he's this nerdy little child who makes maps and is apparently super responsible and logic-minded, he's still a kid. And the kid is gonna be pissed off if he doesn't get his way. Okay, so y'all know about social contract theory. Whether we like it or not, when we are born, we relinquish certain freedoms in order to live in society. Never mind the fact that our newly formed baby brain can't hold a pen to sign shit, nor that our parents never asked if we even wanted to be brought into this shit show to begin with. No, you, the little blank slate, immediately have all these expectations of what and who you should be thrust upon you, and spend your entire life navigating them, and sometimes even rebelling against them as you develop your own sense of self. Now, sometimes it's understandable to give up certain liberties for the sake of social cohesion. For instance, if you're listening to something in public, for fuck's sake, use your goddamn headphones. And good lord, if our infrastructure must be car-centric, use your turn signals. But speaking more broadly, depending on the society that you're born into, its culture, its economic systems, how it enforces one through the other, you might be expected to conform to some degree. If you're a night owl, say your prayers, because early birds designed the average workday to start at 9 or 8 a.m. sharp, sometimes even earlier. Or say because the economic system needs a new generation of workers to exploit, it needs to encourage folks to have more kids. Not by making it financially more viable, of course, but by trapping people, particularly women, in situations where they have no choice. When people say that the pain in the world is just the way things are, they're speaking of the only world that they have known, or of the way that they believe the world should operate, that this is the natural order. But is it? If these systems demanding conformity, that demand suffering and toiling and blood as sacrifices in order to keep us all alive, are ones ordained by nature itself, then why do those overseeing it need so desperately to police and perpetuate its enforcement? It's only logical, some might say. In order for the social order we've designed to function, compromises are inevitable. People aren't messy, individual, chaotic humans anymore, or at least shouldn't be allowed to be so. They are cogs in a machine, and therefore each cog must be painstakingly crafted so as not to disrupt the gears turning. They must be coerced in one way or another to become the ideal citizen we have deemed necessary for cohesion. And those who don't comply, by choice or by their own nature, perhaps they should be punished, ostracized, scorned, ignored, objectified. Or perhaps they ought not to exist to begin with. What do you do with a misshapen cog? You fix it. What happens if you can't fix it? You get rid of it. When you take this way of thinking to its logical extreme, it can become not only incredibly dehumanizing, but dangerous. In fact, the danger lies in the goal of dehumanization itself. Why are we building a world bent on efficiency at the cost of who we are? For whose benefit? Shouldn't we instead be trying to build a world designed for human happiness and welfare? What is the point of making a perfectly functioning world if it's one where most people suffer needlessly? And who even gets to decide what functioning or needlessness or efficiency look like? At its core, Tales of Berseria is about the world we want to build. Do we create one based upon pure, clean logic and reason, or based upon the emotions that make us human? Are reason and emotion arch nemeses, like we often make them out to be? Or is that a false dichotomy? Is reason truly this single truth that we should strive for? Or is it a byproduct of the very human ideologies that, consciously or unconsciously, shape our worldview? Is it a lie that we tell ourselves to absolve ourselves of guilt? To pretend that we, in fact, aren't ourselves driven by mere emotion like those we condemn? Naturally, my queer little heart, who was about to graduate high school, really saw itself in Velvet's story, about her refusing to accept the role given to her by the cruel world created by Artorius, and fighting tooth and nail to destroy it on behalf of what he had stolen from her. Especially given all the evangelical coding that the Abbey is cloaked in, should it really be surprising how Berseria might appeal to the queer outcast, made to feel like their very existence is evil? But it's so much more than that. The world that Artorius craves, one free of suffering, is one without all of the things that make life worth living. Love, creativity, joy, expression. And the humans under the Abbey's watch may feel safe, but only if they adhere to the Abbey's laws, and only if they worship their god Innominat. All must conform, and all must abandon their own ways of life, their own gods, and their own joys. The Malachim must be enslaved so that humans may use their power to shield themselves, or those who become demons must be executed, regardless of whether they still retain who they are. In particular, I appreciate that Berseria has so many demon characters who aren't just mindless monsters. Malevolence is indeed a threat, but it is something that all of humanity carries with it. Characters like Velvet, Rokurou, Dial, Kamawana, Medusa, Kurogane, all of them show that it is possible to still be who you are and still be worthy of love and belonging and dignity, even if you may be inflicted with malevolence. Now here, it can get kind of messy because the word malevolence itself kind of communicates the actual malevolence. It does work with all the Judeo-Christian coding and talk of sin we've got going on, but it's not quite a one-to-one scenario. In the Japanese version, malevolence is referred to as kagare, which is actually a concept found in Japanese Shinto. Kagare is more akin to a kind of spiritual sickness or blight. It comes about from contamination, such as death, decay, disease, or the spilling of blood, and is thought to bring about misfortune. A closer word might be corruption, not in the way of corrupt politics, but more the corruption of a putrefied corpse. Zisteria in particular is often read as heavily Judeo-Christian coded in nature. mainly because of the use of words like shepherd and seraphim, and the use of medieval European and Arthurian aesthetics. And Berseria seems to lean into those a bit more to explore its themes. But really, the world of both games is more using Shinto as the foundation and then Arthurian paint over top. There's been fan discourse about this confusion before, so I'll point to some references, but I do kind of love this idea that the messy moral grayness of the natural world has been appropriated by humans and repackaged as this dualistic good versus evil, light versus dark modes of thinking. It feels very on point for the way people go out of their way to erase complexity. But when Zestiria dabbled in bits of moral grayness when it comes to the humanity of demons, or as they call them, Hellions, Berseria goes out of its way to depict the humanity of everyone, be they human, Malak, or demon. We are all out here just trying to survive this terrifying, chaotic world, even if the powers that be would try to divide us for the sake of maintaining themselves. But to the Abbey, malevolence isn't something to be accepted and dealt with, but rather something to be altogether avoided and eradicated at the root level. To that end, they would go as far to remove humanity itself, at the cost of everything else. And along that road, they would absolutely exterminate those deemed inherently evil and dangerous, and even coerce or forcibly turn innocents into Therians to further their goals. Force all the malevolence of society onto one person, force them to endure its darkness and remove their humanity for the sake of your own greater ambitions. It's very the ones who walk away from Omelas coded. Omelas, as I will call it for brevity, is a short story penned by the one true fantasy queen, Ursula K. Le Guin. The story depicts the eponymous city as a utopia. However, in order to preserve its prosperity, one child must suffer in perpetuity. Most of Omelas citizens accept this. They're horrified when they're told the truth, of course, but succumb to the idea that this is the only way to preserve the happiness of the majority. It's only reasonable, of course. One child suffering to ensure the prosperity of an entire city. It just makes mathematical sense. But there are those who, like the title says, walk away from Omelas, who reject this reasoning and abandon the city. The story doesn't specify where they are going, but emphasizes that they must know their destination. Me personally, I am aghast hearing this story. The way the child is described, the pain I feel on their behalf. Let me tell you, if I was in this, it would be called The Ones Who Burn Down Omelas. To exchange all the goodness and grace of every life in Omelas for that single, small improvement, to throw away the happiness of thousands for the chance of the happiness of one. That would be to let guilt within the walls indeed. The terms are strict and absolute. There may not be even a kind word spoken to the child. It's a timeless tale that echoes the realities we still deal with today, that our economic system requires an underclass to perpetually work themselves to the bone for the sake of the upper brass. That scarcity, even if it is artificial, be used to motivate people to work out of fear of poverty or homelessness. That people of other nations we demonize as a threat be continually terrorized and objectified and brutalized so that we can have the illusion of safety. And that we all be turned against each other so that the rich bitches can make it out the back door with all the money. And in Berseria, that's the Malachim being enslaved by the exorcists. It's the demons who still maintain their humanity. It's the Therians made to devour malevolence to feed Innominat. It's outcasts branded as criminals and witches for trying to live life on their own terms. And ultimately, it is even the humans who think themselves safe obeying the Abbey like good little sheep, unaware their beloved shepherd's ultimate goal is to strip every last one of them of their very souls. That question Artorius keeps asking, why do you think it is that birds fly? It's a proxy philosophical question, meant to make you think about why we humans do what we do. Why do we struggle to keep living? Why do we eat, form connections, build towns and cities for ourselves? Why do we enjoy music and art? Why do we write poems or invent new games to play, even if they don't serve a practical purpose? Or in the thoughts of some, should we? We'll get into the characters' individual answers later on in the character sections, but suffice to say, I absolutely adore the way that this game manages to pack so much depth about what it means to be alive, what it means to be human, into the little everyday things. It takes abstract concepts that most of us have a difficult time understanding and wraps them into more concrete questions and tangible relationships between characters. Even simple things like the important symbols in the game: birds, apples, the comb, the compass. Each one represents an idea that the game is trying to tackle, the dreams and hopes of a specific character, and or the complicated relationships between characters. For instance, the comb being evocative of Laphicet's love for his sister and his wish for her to take care of herself in spite of her being his caretaker.
Your old one broke, right? You've got beautiful hair. It would be a waste if you didn't take care of it.
Or the compass being Laphicet's desire to see the world, Velvet's bewilderment that Laphicet is interested in such nerdy, high-minded things.
Check out all these complicated-looking books.
A hand-drawn map!
Nice. It's incomplete, but seems quite detailed.
It's beautiful.
My brother drew it every day. Even when his fever got too strong for him to read a book, he'd stare at that map for hours.
Laphicet, he wanted to travel the world?
Yes, it was his dream. I never understood what made him want to do something so dangerous. But I'm living his dream now. It's ironic, isn't it?
And later on, V's desire to chart his own course through life as his own person. I also just want to yell about how much I love the use of names as well. Names are kind of taken for granted. Like, it's kind of wild that for most of us, we just go with whatever our parents gave us at birth and then live with the baggage associated with that name from all those who lived with it before us. But like Magilou says, they help us to shape our identities, our very senses of self.
I noticed you've come up with your little name for the kid. You sure are the sentimental type, aren't you?
Oh? Calling him Fee doesn't cost me anything, and it's not like I gave it much thought.
That may be the case, but no one else has taken even that token effort. And in doing so, I wonder if maybe you were trying to encourage him to be his own being. After all, one requires a name before he can consider his own identity. Having been given a name, he realizes he is his own entity, separate from others, and a certain formless essence comes to life inside him. And you're the one who set that process in motion for the kid. Whether you intended to or not, you changed him from a puppet into a living being.
Zestiria had the whole true name thing too, but I think Berseria really took the extra mile to integrate it into the whole what makes us who we are conversation. For instance, Arthur versus Artorius. Arthur, the more common, casual-sounding name he gives himself when he meets Celica, is for the humble, once wayward man who found new purpose in life through his love for this woman, who became part of a humble family and did his best to provide for them and love them as they are because they loved him at his lowest.
I'm an exorcist. Artorius. No, Arthur. I'm Arthur.
And then Artorius, the ominous, more formal name that he had presumably been born with, who failed as the student of the late King Claudin, and who sees himself as responsible for his death, who, in losing Celica and his unborn child, gave into despair and cursed himself, deciding to not only numb himself to escape the grief and shame, but to numb the entire world. Not to break the wheels that crush ordinary people, but to merely stop them from turning.
I'll make things right. I'll abandon who I am. I will put an end to all the pain in this world. My name is Artorius Colbrand. I have inherited the will and the strength of Claudin Asgard, former head of the Exorcists.
Velvet, once a happy-go-lucky girl who wanted nothing more than a simple life with her family, now the Lord of Calamity, a monster feared by all, blamed for all the world's misfortunes and woes, whether or not she caused them to begin with.
Quit overthinking things. Just blame all the suffering on the Lord of Calamity. Makes life easier.
Velvet,
Laphicet, the younger brother who wanted to see the world in spite of his frail, fragile body, versus Innominat, the devouring god who looks upon humanity with contempt.
Velvet, why do you have my comb?
That was the comb that Laphicet gave me. Not you, Innominat.
Of course. I'm Innominat, now reborn. And you're the Lord of Calamity.
Fee, the young Malak nerd boy who likes beetles and mabokuri, versus Mautelis, the powerful, determined being who wants to give humanity the chance to redeem themselves. Celica, the kind, loving big sister and mother figure with a fierce passion for life and a giant heart who goes out of her way to look out for others.
I can feel it. Your body is shouting, I want to live.
I'm a disgrace. I don't deserve to live.
Is life something you have to earn? To deserve?
Versus Ceres, a woman fueled by bitterness and resentment for the man she once loved.
So, should I think of you as my sister?
I'm a Moloch named Ceres. I've inherited Celica's memories, that's all.
And that doesn't make you the same person?
What exactly defines a person's identity? I may have her body and her memories, but...
You're right. If your soul has changed, you're not the same person anymore.
Right after the Advent, Celica's memories returned to me. It was then I understood what exactly it was I had done. Arthur, kind and caring, transformed into the cruel Artorius he is now. Perhaps this is my punishment for the pain I brought to you all. The stronger I feel my love for Arthur, the less I can forgive Artorius. My hatred of him has grown so deep, I'm not Celica anymore. As Ceres, I can never bring back the Arthur that I loved. Neither do I have the power to defeat Artorius.
These names demarcate the versions of these characters and how they have radically changed, but also the roles they now play. Velvet, Arthur, and Laphi were once a happy little family of 3, doing their best after losing Celica on the Scarlet Knight. But now, the Lord of Calamity is out for the blood of the shepherd Artorius and to usurp the devouring god Innominat. Side note, Innominat's nomenclature literally means nameless, and I just think that's neat. The little bit nomen means name, hence the word nomenclature. The in prefix negates it, and then I think the ot at the end personifies it. Like, the name literally means the nameless one. And I also think that's quite fitting. If a name is what makes you unique, part of what makes you the messy, distinct human that you are, then it makes sense for the one to strip people of that uniqueness and humanity, be the nameless Empyrean. Because in this world, where all are the same, what use is there for names? I could yell about this shit all day, but I hope I've managed to make this digestible and entertaining. Berseria is just so jam-packed and well-crafted, especially in the theming department, that I kinda can't help but view it as lightning in a bottle. It is a story that speaks to me deeply, especially in a terrifying era like the 2020s, where it feels like being who you are is more dangerous than ever. And now, to get even more gratuitously granular, let's talk about characters. Because, like, this is not only my favorite Tales cast, but, like, one of my favorite casts of anything. Ever. Tales of Berseria, even after all these years, reigns supreme as my favorite Tales game, and one of my favorite games as a whole. Being a story about human nature, both the good and the bad, it inspires deep empathy for all its characters. Even characters who may appear heroic or villainous on the surface at the end of the day, are ultimately portrayed as flawed people whose fates were decided both by their own choices and external circumstances.
If it wasn't chance, it might have been destiny.
How could such a horrible thing be destiny?
Sorry. I didn't mean to make light of a tragedy, but our fates intertwine. The good and the bad, whether we like it or not. That's what makes it destiny, right?
Its gameplay and presentation are far from perfect, but this story and cast are just so profound that it's hard for me not to feel enamored with it. And isn't that the beauty, that even if a piece of art is still clearly flawed, you can still find such beauty within it and that it can resonate with you deeply? I don't know, that sounds good, so we're just gonna roll with that. And if you bully me for liking this game as much as I do, I don't care. You're the one who sat it for this long, listening to me ramble, so who really wins? And also, one of us is getting a check for this, and it ain't you. Anyhow, if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content like this from me, then be sure to subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, YouTube hates creators, yada yada yada. Also, if you're willing and able, please consider pledging your support for myself and the channel over on Patreon. I'm the Unicorn of War, and Velvet's life is such a shit show, man.